Today on Homeworthy, prepare to be inspired by bold palettes, artistic touches, and one-of-a-kind interiors as we visit some of New York City's most colorful spaces. First, we'll explore a sophisticated townhouse on the Upper East Side that's filled with personality and warmth. Then we'll step inside a quintessential railroad apartment that includes a fabulous Diva room, followed by an eclectic apartment that is a colorful oasis for over 200 plants. You won't want to miss this. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Raymond.
And I'm Misty. Welcome to my house on the Upper East Side. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Raymond Boozer, and I'm the principal designer of Apartment 48 Interiors.
And I'm Misty Bridges. I'm the client. This is my home, and I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Misty and I met when I had a shop on 17th Street, and she lived above it. So I had a home furnishing store called Apartment 48 for like 18 years, and Misty was one of the customers. Though I didn't remember her, but then when I was featured in Elle Decor, she came in and she asked me if I did interior design. So I helped her with her loft on 17th Street. We renovated that. And then we did a couple of other projects. And then when she found a townhouse, we worked on this together.
The dream had always been to have a townhouse. And so we started looking for a townhouse. And it probably took more than a year to find one. And then once we acquired it, it took 3 years before we could move in.
It felt like longer.
When I saw Raymond's apartment on the cover of Elle Decor and I knew the shop, I thought, well, let's just interview him and see how it goes. And I guess we just clicked.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I think the thing that we have in common is we both love color and we both love to experiment with design. So I think to have a client that's open to trying new things is really rare. Now we're going into the parlor, which is very bright and light, where you have a beautiful piano.
Everybody in my husband's family has a piano. His mother was a concert pianist. My husband plays by ear. My kids mostly play Taylor Swift songs on it now, but it's here, and it's actually a beautiful thing to have right up against the window. We really wanted to showcase it.
I've been designing around this piano for like 10 years now.
Yes, it's
beautiful.
It's moved several times, and it's not easy to move that piano. It takes about 5 very large movers.
It's a great piece. Also, there's a lot of great art. There's this great painting by Yarbi Camarnel. He's a Spanish artist from Spain. But Misty and I, you know, it's interesting, Misty and I go every year to the Affordable Arts Fair and look for art. Almost all the art in this house comes from the Affordable Art Fair. They have really great artists that people don't know about, and this was one of them. Yabe was one of the ones that she really loved. And we actually went back a couple times looking for more of his work. But I think this is a good one. We got a good one here.
I just like the color, I like the composition, and to be fair, my children think that they could do it, but I know they can't. So, and then I was just drawn to it, and I'm not sure that we were together when I first saw it, and then you came back to see it with me. But Raymond instantly liked it. So yeah. I knew it was good.
I liked it right away. The room is like all white, which is, to do a not white room for me is really rare. So it needed like punches of color, and I think this gives a punch of color.
Raymond and I have done a lot of projects together. We're both color enthusiasts. He's known as the color guru,
True.
I believe. And I really felt like in a turn of the century townhouse, to have a lot of color in the parlor, which is sort of the formal floor of the house, wasn't in keeping with the past of the house. So when I first started, I said, I really want to keep the parlor white, which I knew was going to be a challenge for both of us.
I was against it.
Yeah.
I was against it.
But I really felt strongly about it. But, you know, as you'll walk around and see, while the walls are white, not much else is.
Yeah, it's true. And I think what I decided to do is to take that white and then do like black as like a high contrast and do like black doors, black molding. You'll see like throughout the whole townhouse, all the doors are painted black. And then the kitchen is black. So I think it gives it like a modern feel, but at the same time, it's still like dramatic and unexpected. Well, Misty really wanted a chevron floor, and we tried really hard to find a color that felt natural, but not just like the whitewash thing that everybody's doing now, like white oak.
Well, really what our inspiration was, we both love Parisian lofts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so we were really looking for that aged, 200-year-old oak Parisian loft floor. And it took about 200 samples. And when Raymond you went to Paris Flea Market, right?
I did.
And he was snapping photos in real time of actual
was taking
floors.
pictures of old floors.
And we were trying to
sending
then send them to vendors to say, this is what we want.
Yeah, and is it Hudson flooring?
Yes.
They came up with something that worked for her. I was happy with a lot of the other options, but this is what we were looking for.
Well, this is a rubbed oil finish, so it has no polyurethane on it whatsoever. So it's going to age with the home. I felt like any kind of shine felt very American.
Yeah, and very
like nouveau.
Cheesy.
So it was really hard to find something without any kind of shine on it.
Another great piece of art is this Donald Robertson doodle, I guess. I was calling it a painting. It's like a watercolor, right? So anyway, I think Misty found this on her own. So this is another Misty find. But we both love this artist. Like, he does a lot of fashion drawings and stuff like that. And actually got in touch with him on the internet, like on Instagram, and he responded to me. He was so excited that we had this art piece in the magazine.
Yeah, he said, "Where did you get that?" Because
Yeah.
I actually got it at one of my kids' school auctions. And I think somebody had worked for a magazine where he had worked.
Right.
And somehow they had it and they donated it to the charity. So I don't think the artist even knew that this could be in someone's home. And when he saw it in a magazine, I think he was quite surprised.
He was really surprised. My favorite thing about Misty is her sense of humor. I think she has a really good sense of humor. And I think when you're doing a renovation with somebody, you have to keep in a good spirit because things don't always go well.
I think my favorite thing about Raymond is, there's so many things, but I think he is a creative genius, but he never loses sight of finishing a project. And a lot of creative geniuses can't get anything done, and Raymond is always very focused on, let's complete this task at hand and not sort of like go off into Never Never Land and think of every single incarnation that we could. He's really focused on, let's do it, let's execute it. I mean, once you hire him to do something, he doesn't sleep for like a week while he already is like churning ideas. Like he needs to get it done. And I really appreciate that.
It's really sweet that you think that. I don't sleep, but I think it's not so much that I'm super focused as I don't like to change my mind. Like, I don't like to change from one idea once I have it. I feel like this is the way we're doing it. It's a vision, and I kind of like stick on it. And I think that's the kind of focus you need to get stuff done quickly. And in New York, people want things done quickly.
Yeah, I will say he changes his mind sometimes.
Now, this is the sitting room and the parlor. We did a really cool sofa from Interlude and 2 matching chairs, also from Interlude. And it was a challenge to find a coffee table that fit this room because the room, which I said before, I wanted it to be 20 inches, but it's actually like 17 inches, is kind of tight because we still needed to have a walkway behind the sofa. And we found this great coffee table from Arteriors, which I think works really well. It's like 32 inches, right?
And I think we also didn't want to mask the rug.
Yeah.
So we played with sort of like, do we use a transparent here? Do we not? But then everyday life, transparent pieces tend to look very fingerprinty pretty quick. So we're pretty excited when we found this because it doesn't cover up the rug too much.
Yeah, and the rug is from the rug company. which I love, and we've used a rug company rug in like every project we've done together. So Misty loves a rug company too, and we went together and picked up this rug. And I think it gives that little punch of color that really is necessary in a room that's like all white.
Yes, but it's still subdued for us.
Yeah.
And Raymond gave me this very nice blanket.
Oh,
As a
yeah,
gift.
this Hermes. It was a housewarming gift.
It was a housewarming
I forgot
gift.
about that. I'm such a giver.
You are a giver.
Also, we had to replace this mantle,
Yes.
which Missy found this.
Well, to be honest, this is not the one I found. So I ordered one, came from China, was stuck on a boat for COVID for almost a year. When it arrived, by the way, I think they weigh like 800 pounds.
Yeah.
And it didn't fit. And I hired someone to put it together, and he quickly told me this doesn't fit. But he said, but don't worry, I have something that I think would fit. And so he showed me a picture, and I just said, done, let's do it. So we brought it, installed it, and I think it turned out really great.
It's really
But
pretty.
It definitely wasn't like a big plan by mine, and I gave the other one to my contractor who used it somewhere else. I would say in New York, wood burning fireplaces are somewhat rare.
Yeah.
Because many of them have been destroyed over the years or are non-operational anymore, and we have a law that actually doesn't allow you to put new ones in. So if you find one, people get very excited.
Yeah.
I would say definitely that's always a bonus. It wasn't something that absolutely was a must, but this house actually had 4 of the existing fireplaces still intact. So we were really lucky that we got that, and we do use them.
And this mirror is from Anthropology, which I love. It's a Parisian vibe, which we mentioned before. We love like Parisian things, so something we both agreed on. I found that table at
That's true.
CB2,
Oh yeah.
which I was really excited about,
That's
like a little bit
definitely
of
your
70s.
vibe, your 70s vibe.
I love the 70s, so anything that feels 70s, like I'm 100%. I felt that this room in particular should feel formal because it's like your first like entry into the house. So I thought, since the house is so big, because I've always lived in lofts before, so they just had like one main living area. We could have one living area that feels really formal, like an old-fashioned kind of living room vibe, where people just sit and drink like martinis, you know? And then they have a space downstairs that's more, you know, it's more bohemian, it's more colorful, it's more like relax and let your hair down kind of party room. These lights are from our interiors, and it was a real challenge because I think initially I wanted to do like a vintage Parisian chandelier. That's why I was at the Paris flea market looking for stuff like that. And I was really pushing that idea. And Misty wanted something a little bit more contemporary. So then I started to search for more contemporary things that felt vintage. So this feels kind of like 50s to me, but it's actually a reproduction by our interiors. And we decided to do matching chandeliers. You'll see the same thing in the dining room too, because it's really just one big room. And I think it was really hard to find something that felt modern, but at the same time, vintagey enough to feel like it belongs in Townhouse and also be big enough. So before we could order them, we had to make sure they're the right size. So we cut like cardboard templates and held them up to the ceiling to see how it would feel. And it worked out. I mean, it feels like it's always been here now.
Yeah, it does. And we added the
medallions?
The medallions. They're by a company that does replicas that would have been in the house at the time that the house was built. These weren't existing, but we had them shipped here, and then we had to replaster them so that it would look authentic. But yeah, I feel like this was sort of like, I feel like it was important to have a wow moment, especially on the formal parlor level. I also think, as a person that's always just walked around New York City and peeped into other people's townhouses,
Yeah.
I always think, oh wow, look at, because you only see the light fixtures at night.
It's true.
And I
It's
just
true.
always feel like that was an important thing for me, for owning one.
Now we're in the dining area and the kitchen. It's all like just really connected, like one big space. This table is from Gillian Chichester, who's one of my favorite furniture companies. And the chairs are ethnic craft, which Misty found the chairs.
I love
She was-
them. My family
She was
doesn't think they're as
very
comfortable
difficult
as-
about getting dining chairs. It's really hard.
Well, I wanted something to tuck in because, again, the width of the house, you don't want something that protrudes from the table too much. Also, the table Raymond found it was great because it
Yeah.
seats so many people, but it doesn't take up very much space because of the shape of it. It's a
Yeah.
very exaggerated oval.
It's really nice, and it's like a different kind of like wood, like it's like a bleached oak, so it doesn't like contrast with the floors. And I didn't just want to do marble again because we've already done marble. It's like something new.
Yeah.
And this artwork is by Irene Miame, which Misty discovered her at the Affordable Arts
Affordable
Fair.
Art Fair.
And we
I'm not sure she's affordable anymore.
we love her stuff. I've used
Yeah.
her stuff in show houses and things, and I'm a big fan. But she does this whole like collage of like Basquiat and Warhols. I mean, you know the artist in this painting, right?
Yeah, well,
There's so
she
many
was,
references.
She was her whole for this whole series. She wanted to have a commentary on how modern art is now viewed more from an Instagram perspective or a social
Right.
media perspective than actually in museums like it was historically. So these are actually images that she took off of Instagram or social media of famous art pieces, and then she collaged them all together. But what's maybe a little tidbit about Irene is that she had this amazing townhouse in Tribeca.
Oh,
And
yeah,
she
we went to
invited
a party
Raymond and I
there.
to a party there where there were lots of incredible people. And shortly thereafter, she sold that townhouse to Taylor Swift to use as Taylor Swift's garage
It was a beautiful
for her
house. It
condo,
turned
which
into
was
a garage.
attached to the condo building that Taylor Swift lives in New York, is attached to the townhouse. So that beautiful townhouse went away and became Taylor Swift's garage.
It's so funny. I forgot about that. Now we're in the kitchen area of the dining, kitchen, living area. This stove, Wolf, right?
Yes.
You really wanted a Wolf stove. We both agreed on that.
Yes.
So I was really happy about it.
Yes. And this hood took about 9 months because of COVID. That was not exciting.
It was an insane time to renovate.
It was.
COVID was not great. This marble is beautiful. You found this marble.
Well, because quite frankly, Raymond would never go to that many stone yards with me.
Hey,
He used to.
We went to one stone yard and it
used
was
to.
so hot that day that I
was-
thought it was gonna melt.
That was bad. I found it at Bass Stone, B-A-S.
Yeah, we like
It's
Bass
owned
Stone.
by two women, which is, I think, somewhat unusual in the stone world.
It's true. It's turquoise, right?
It's called Calcutta Turquoise.
I love it.
But
I
we
love
wanted
it.
something that had a little bit of color to it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted Arabescato at first, but then like as I started to see more and more stuff, you know, I wanted something that made sense with black. And she found this. I think it's great. It has colors in it that you don't really expect to see in a kitchen.
Yeah, there's actually some purples in it,
Yeah.
even though it's called turquoise. I feel like it reads almost in some places more purple.
It's true. But anyway, this black kitchen turned out to be like a really good idea, I think. I just thought it would be really cool because I thought we were having the black window frames. We were painting all the trim black and the staircase black. And I kept saying, what about a black kitchen? And I showed like gray kitchens, but the architect, he was like, no, I don't like that. I don't want it. And I'm like, I really think this is the right thing to do. Like sometimes I'll get an idea and I just can't let it go. And this was one of those times when I knew it was like the absolute right thing to do. And so we tested it, right? And
We had mock-ups done by the architect, like 3D modeling done. I showed it to every person I knew, my
Yeah.
real estate agent, my old interior designer, like the foreman on the job.
they
Like
all said no.
No, a lot of people said yes, but all those people said no. But yeah, but in the end, I think the mock-ups really helped me. It's just hard when
Right.
everyone is telling you no, and
Yeah.
Raymond's the only one telling you yes.
It's
That
true.
The mock-up really pushed me over the edge. And I
But-
thought, you know what? Whatever. If it doesn't work out, someone can refinish it white if they want.
It's true, but you know what the thing is everybody kept saying it was going to be too dark. But the room is not dark at all. I mean, it's so bright. And I
Right.
think that the black just kind of recedes. And then you have the view is like the star, you know? It's just like a really pretty room.
Every design of the kitchen originally by the architect never had a central island. It was always sort of a peninsula or
Yeah.
just a U shape. And I understand why he envisioned it that way because
said
that's
there
the
was not
best.
enough room.
That's the best use of sort of the space in his view when you have, you know, a narrow townhouse. But Raymond and I felt very strongly that something should be horizontal
Yeah.
versus vertical, which is how you normally encounter things in New York City townhouses. So
Yeah.
we agree that this should come into play.
Because this room is actually, it's longer this way than like this. So like turning this made sense, and that's what he kept drawing. But I was like, I really don't want it that way. I want this perspective when you walk in the door to see the kitchen, and then you see outside and it all kind of flows. And I was right this time, right?
Yeah.
We also did this really cool thing where we mitered the marble to make this look thicker. So it looks like a really thick piece of marble, but it's actually like a mitered piece where you do a 45-degree angle, and
Yeah.
it looks like a really thick piece of marble, which I think is more dramatic.
It is. And we wanted to do that consistently throughout. You actually end up, it's very tricky with dishwashers actually, because dishwashers are made to a certain height.
Yeah.
And they won't fit under a thicker marble slab. So we had to be very specific. So this is slightly thicker than what we did on the countertops because of the dishwasher issue.
Yeah, because we have 2 dishwashers
Again,
in this kitchen.
another like sort of design, right, idea, but then when the architect looked at it, said, that's gonna be a problem with dishwashers. Oh, we have 2, they're here. Remember, they're paneled. It's the only thing that I agreed to panel.
So you don't have to see them.
I agree,
It's a
especially
secret.
because we had 2, it was gonna be too much. Townhouses traditionally don't get a lot of light on the first 2 floors. So the idea, I think when people modernize them, they tend to take the second floor and really open it up.
Yeah.
So this required a lot of structural engineering, a lot of work by the contractor to get this. This originally was a very small door and one very small window that was in a bedroom.
I think like we did a lot of recessed lights in this house because at some point you need that, like when you want it to be daylight, because townhouses are traditionally really dark. So they're like a trillion lights in the ceiling, but they're not always on. But you have the opportunity to like dim the lights or do ambient light if you want to. But you also, if you need it to be bright, it can be really bright. Now we're gonna go downstairs to the garden, but first let me tell you about this wallpaper. We showed Misty like 100 wallpapers to get her to agree to choose something, and she wound up choosing a wallpaper, which is the same fabric that I have in my sofa in my apartment.
Yes.
This
Okay,
is
so
a-
can I say this?
Yeah.
He showed me a bunch of wallpapers, as he always has to. And I kept coming back to this, and he didn't say a word to me about it being his sofa cushion. And I said, I don't know why, I'm just so drawn to this. I just love this wallpaper. And I'm not even sure when you admitted to me it was
I
your
know.
couch.
After
but
we
then I
ordered
realized,
it.
like, oh, that's why. I mean, not that I didn't love your couch always, but
Yeah.
I think it was always in the back of my mind, like, this is very familiar to me. I really think this is a great wallpaper.
Yeah.
But then it ended up, yes.
Yeah, it's a Romo wallpaper, and I had this fabric on my couch, and I think she just probably remembered it and didn't realize it. And I was like, should I say something? I was like talking to Kevin, like, should I tell her? And
I
he's
know.
like,
I don't
"No."
even remember when I found out.
But it works, right? And it ties the room together with the rug and everything. And it transitions really well to the garden. I wanted to wallpaper the whole house. So, yes. It was always an idea to wallpaper this wall of the stairs. And it's a lot of wall because it goes all the way down to the garden. So economically, we had to find something that price-wise worked too. We had a couple other wallpapers that were really pretty, but very expensive.
Yeah.
And
I think we tend to do wallpaper in entries. And
Yeah.
this leads down to the next level's entryway.
Yeah.
So I think that always gives us the drama of when you first enter a home. I've had more UPS men comment on this wallpaper than you would imagine. For some reason, every
Yeah.
time the UPS man comes, he's like, I love that wallpaper.
I love that. I love it when the workers notice stuff because that's when you know you've done a good job.
Right.
And also this art piece, which I found in Provincetown when I was on vacation, and I sent Misty pictures of this guy. His name is Jeff Lee. He does these things that say different words, and he did a custom piece for her. She came up with the idea of Fearless, and he made a custom piece for her. And I think I brought this back with me.
Yeah,
I
you
brought it
did.
back from P-Town.
Yeah, I never even saw it until
Yeah.
it was here. And I remember we went back and forth about the words. And I think you helped with the word, but
Yeah.
we decided that it was this originally was in a different apartment.
yeah.
And it was near the entryway and we said, it's gonna hang in the entryway, should be something like as you leave the house that like inspires you to walk out into the world. And that's
Yeah.
how we did it. And my children to this day think that's the cheesiest thing they've ever heard. But that's kind of what
They
we're
don't
thinking.
get it. I have one in my apartment. It says love, but she thought that was too cheesy. Plus, we needed something like long and vertical.
Right.
But I think fearless, it's a good mantra. Now we're on the garden level.
And this piece I've had for a really long time. It was by a Texas photographer named Gray Mallon, which no one had ever heard of when I bought this piece. But he's now blown up, and he has puzzles and hoodies and everything else you can imagine. But it appealed to me because my husband's from Texas, I'm from Alabama, and a photograph that he staged with cowboys looking at the Prada installation in Marfa, Texas. And it just spoke to me. I'm a huge fashion lover, and being from the South and my husband being from Texas, I just thought it was really kind of funny to have these cowboys looking at this Prada installation.
And I always loved it too because I love Prada. Another fun at the Affordable Arts Fair is this like photograph by Richard Heaps with like a pile of Barbies and a car.
It's a little indecent. We thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, we both loved it.
Better way to welcome somebody than to show them. And now we're coming into the den. This is sort of like our TV room, our lounge space, sort of where we chill out, if you will.
Family room. Yeah, this room was challenging because this is the area where the kitchen was down here before, and it was really dark. So we just decided to lean into the darkness and paint everything the same color, which is Excalibur by Benjamin Moore, and just like do the ceiling, the walls, the woodwork, everything the same color. And then like layer on color. And then this room, I feel like I got to do my typical like color on pattern theme.
Yeah.
Which I love.
I feel like we thought, this is one of those things where everybody says, oh, you should try to make it as bright as possible. You should paint everything white, bright white. And we just said, you know what, it's never going to be a bright room. So why not lean into the chill factor? Like, let's just like chill it out. Right. And I always think with these curtains, I feel like this is like the modern like Elvis jungle room.
Yeah, I like that vibe. I think this is like one of those rooms where you go down into the basement and it's like everybody's surprised how like bohemian and wild it is. These curtains are by this Australian artist, Carrie Brown from Sydney. She is so talented, and we use a lot of her wallpapers and projects and stuff, and I've been showing her stuff to Misty for a while, and she really loved this pattern, but it was really tiny. It's a mural, and you really can't see everything that's going on, but some of it you probably shouldn't. But you see there's like a little bit of like partial nudity, but not really. But it wasn't working for her on the scale that it was, so we had Carrie blow it up to like a larger scale so that it all became like more abstract. And we had these curtains custom made by Milo. And Misty insisted that we line the back in green so that when people are outside, they don't see the back of the curtains, which is really smart.
Yes. I can't stand that when you look into someone's home and at night and all you see is that like white lining. Yeah. And I knew because this was an entertaining space that people would be going in and out.
Yeah.
I did not want people to turn around and see that white lining.
Yeah.
So, and I like that we picked green. I'm not sure that we thought about it, but it really makes sense outdoors.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Okay.
I did.
Score one for Raymond.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it is our family room where we watch TV, but also when we have people over, we actually do cocktails down here pre-dinner, and then we go upstairs for dinner or outdoors. But this is like a really fun room for a pre-dinner drink.
Yeah, I've never been invited. I did design the bar though. I mean, James and I came up with a bar solution. We did a really cool bar area over here. We picked up this beautiful Nero Marquina marble and great setup for like entertaining. We designed a custom bench, like banquette here with like hidden storage, has drawers underneath. And we use this Susie Bellamy fabric. And we did Osborne & Little. Misty and I have a lot in common. We love like Osborne & Little, Trisha Guild, all of those like British designers. So we use a lot of British fabrics and designs in this apartment. Clarence House, Romo on the chairs. It's interesting. It's like a really kind of a sexy room, but at the same time, it's a very friendly room. This photo I found in Provincetown, and I was obsessed with it. It's by Thomas Jackson. And every summer I go to Provincetown for vacation, and I saw this photo in the window of the gallery, and I sent a picture to Misty, and I was like, you have to buy this. And she's like, I
Even
don't know.
before we were doing this house.
Yeah, even before we had the house. I was like, you have to buy this. It kind of reminds me of her daughters or something. I don't know what it was. But I was like, this is the right thing. And then like 2 years later, we're still working on this house. I go back and they still had that photo. And I was like, do you still have that photo? How much is it? And it was a lot. And I said, Misty, you know, that photo's still here. You have to get it. It's the right thing. Otherwise, I'm going to buy it myself.
Right.
And I convinced her to.
Well, so what happened then was I showed it to my husband. And he said, I don't like it. And I said, oh, okay. And then, so I let it be. And then Raymond kept, like, pestering me. He was going to leave Rhode Island soon, and he needed an answer. And I was like, just buy it. Don't tell Steven right now. And what's funny is I never told him. It arrived, and it was sort of like I had kind of uncovered it just to see, you know, that it isn't damaged.
Right.
And my husband walked by it and said, wow, that's really cool. So we didn't tell him till probably a year later that they actually had seen this photo, and he did not like it, and we should not buy it. So I'm glad we did it.
I think it's all about context with people. People don't know what they want, you know? But I think this photo is great, and I love Thomas Jackson. And he actually wrote to me too, like on Instagram, and he was like super happy to see this published.
Oh, really?
Because this had a really nice feature in Art Digest, and people love it.
I think it's great.
Yeah, there's like a little
great.
bit of anxiety in it and a little bit of expectation. It's like really good photography. It's
Oh,
that
right.
Clausen guy.
Yeah, so I met this guy at the Affordable Art Fair years and years ago, and I almost bought a piece by him then, and I didn't. And then years later, when we were doing this, I reached out to the gallery
Yeah,
and said, it's Barry Crowston?
Barry
Costin?
Costin. Yeah,
Barry
Barry
Costin.
Costin.
He's British. And he had a new series coming out. And this series was like, he just drove across America. And he actually told me, I met him after we bought this, and he told me that he was driving, I think, somewhere in Nevada, and this rainstorm just kind of came upon him unexpectedly. And he was driving by this motel. This is not staged at all. And this, you know, truck was here, and the lights on the motel were like reflecting off the rain puddles that had just formed. And he just thought, I have to stop the car right now. I'm taking this photo. So that's actually the photo that he took. He did not manipulate it at all. He said all the colors were exactly like this when he took the photo. So
It's really cool because it looks like it could have been photoshopped. But we both love this.
Yeah.
We both loved it like right away. And it feels like the right vibe because we're both, like I said, from Alabama. So it's like rural, but it has like this like city kind of like, I don't know, like irony?
yeah,
I think it's irony.
yeah.
Because it's sad, but
And it's also got
pretty.
like that 70s vibe too.
Yeah, and 70s, true. I think that this bookcase, for me, is a really important focal point. This room has like really very many focal points, but like everything on these shelves I arranged, you know, but it's all very misty, like all the color and like collection of books and things. We both love design, both love art, but this is like 100% me. It
Right.
looks a lot like my apartment and my bookcases too. But I have a way of like pulling things together that sort of tell a story. That little photograph, I think it's from Click, right?
I think you gave it to me as a present.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
That was nice.
Maybe I
This is
maybe
by
I shouldn't
Rob
be
Hahn.
reminding you how many
This
things
little
you bought
photo
for
by
me.
Rob Hahn is really great.
So cute.
And he also did a lot of the Marfa Prada stuff, which I have one of his photos in my bathroom of the Prada Marfa little shop.
Yeah.
I like the way he finds things in the desert and like just photographs it and make it like look like art.
I will say, like, Raymond is really good at like curating like new pieces to go with things I already owned. Like, for
Yeah.
instance, like I got this little thing in Morocco, this little painting. This was made by one of my kids when they
Yeah.
were, 4 years old.
And I told you this was perfect to go with this. Like with the faces, it makes sense, right?
Right. It's just, I mean, this is something that I got on my first vacation with my now husband, with my
yeah.
boyfriend. These are just little random things that I owned, and Raymond just has a way of sort of like adding to it and then making it all make sense. And I will say, he has a process, and you're not allowed to be there.
I don't like
when he's
anybody
doing it.
watching me when I'm
He
doing
does not.
it.
I had to leave the house. We had a prearranged date that he said, when are you not going to be home? And that's when he wanted to do the bookshelf.
It's because when you're doing stuff, you're like, why are you putting that there? Like, like no one will see that.
No one would care. He just needs to be alone.
Yeah.
That's what we decided.
That's
So
my process.
that's his process. I think this room was sort of like take color, like everything we restrained ourselves from doing upstairs to make it more formal. We just like let loose in this room.
True.
And Raymond and I both just instantly were like, let's just go hog wild. I will say a lot of the colors in here aren't typically ones that you might think all go together. In fact, my children remind me constantly, like, how does a brown chair go with a blue rug? But it makes sense, but you really had to, like, Raymond really pulled from all of his color experience to really make this room gel, because I don't think anyone would have thought, like, the black marble with a gray wall, with a green table, with a brown chair. Like,
it's like a kaleidoscope.
It is very kaleidoscopy.
And you know, it's interesting because neither one of us really liked brown, but you needed this kind of brown foil for all of this, like this really punchy rug and everything to make sense. You needed something to like bring it down, but at the same time, it's like velvet, so it's shimmery.
Right.
It just worked. I knew it was going to work. And look at that vase. It works really well with the chairs.
The vase I didn't remember I had until right before this.
It's interesting. Designing for a family is a lot more different than designing for myself, but most of my clients are families. So I think it's easy for me to put myself in a space where I have to think, what do people need? What do people want? Like, what do multiple people do in these spaces? I don't know the answer to that, but I imagine that they need like more than 2 chairs. You know, they entertain. People always say they entertain, so I assume that people entertain. I think considering what the kids want and having things be kid-friendly and pet-friendly is really important too. But I also still feel like I want it to be really pretty. It's really important for me for all my projects to feel pretty, you know, but not like in a trite way, but in a really thoughtful way. And I don't know how to describe what that means, but.
Yeah, Raymond would never tell you to use like an easily cleanable fabric on your sofa. And he would say, look, you're not going to keep it forever. Right? If the dog chews it up, it's fine.
Yeah, or I'll say something
but
like.
it's true, right? If I say I'm having a party, I'll say, should I make everybody take off their shoes? And he's like, you're going to make everybody take off your shoes? Like, it's a house. Live in it.
You have to live in a house. I think that's really important. So I do agree with that. But I do think like now there's like more technology, so there's more considerations for like durability and like cleaning and stuff like that. But like in the living room, we did a rug that's not very practical. But I think you have to have that one moment that's really special. You know, so we have this rug company rug, and it is part silk, so it's not super pet friendly.
Yeah, well, there's been many accidents from the pet on that rug. And I have a great carpet company now as a result.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes.
Do you want to go out to the garden?
Let's go.
Hey, now we're in the garden. This is all new, and I had nothing to do with it, so you tell us what happened out here.
No, well.
I picked the furniture.
You picked the furniture. You advised on the house, the exterior color.
Oh, yeah, we picked
changed
this
the
paint color.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called wrought iron. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
By Benjamin Moore.
We tried a bunch. This is what stuck. But yeah, I mean, this space was somewhat, like the ivy wall was always here. There was a little bit of a different, like, it was all cobblestone instead of bluestone.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had extensive landscaping, renovation, but just to make it a little bit more usable, like there wasn't a lot of space for large furniture, and Raymond and I both really wanted to be able to like entertain out here. So that was really, again, that was something like the landscaper came up with the plan, but I ran it by Raymond to say like, what table fits here? What chairs fit here? Like, should we make this bigger or smaller? You know, that sort of thing before the landscaper, you know, actually went to excavating.
Yeah, we went out with some great furniture from Williams-Sonoma. Chairs, and then also this like really great dining table where you can seat like a ton of people.
Yeah, so I guess, you know, in New York, you don't get like a lot of green space. And I was used to living in apartments where I had fabulous views of the city. And so I knew coming to a townhouse, there was going to be a compromise of I'm not going to get those vistas anymore.
Right.
So I felt like I really want to see green. Like that's the trade-off. I'm getting a green space for trading off the city skyline views. So I just wanted it to be green. And quite frankly, this garden has been probably planted 4 times over because you have to learn like what will grow here and what will survive. And so, you know, this is probably the 4th incarnation of it. What we found out is hydrangea really love the darkness and the dampness. So we have a lot of hydrangea now. And the begonias are new this year and they seem to thrive as well. So it's more just figuring out what would, you know, we could sustain back here more than, you know, what I sort of envisioned for it.
Yeah, and the most important thing to me was dining table, because I think why else would you go outside unless you're gonna like eat, you know, like grill and have like entertaining like dinner parties.
So one thing that the house didn't have when we bought it was access from the 2nd floor to the garden. It wasn't necessary because of the configuration of the house then, because the 2nd floor was a bedroom for the bottom tenant. So when Raymond and I decided it was really important that the kitchen moved to the 2nd floor, we wanted to make sure that the kitchen was directly accessible to the garden.
Right.
For cooking, for
You can bring up
dining.
food.
And we didn't want to have to like transverse through the house to get things from the kitchen down here. So we ended up adding a staircase off of the 2nd floor so we have direct access down here.
Because like I go a lot to Amsterdam. I used to go like every year, and they have all these like black townhouses, and I thought that black was a good idea, and I said it to her, Misty, and she said it was a good idea too. So we started just looking at blacks and grays. And you'd walked around the village, right? And you saw like this townhouse that was painted that way, and it was like a specific color, and I had to go look at it.
Yes.
And
I tried to get, I got the
gunmetal.
management company's information off the door, and I called them to find out if they could tell me the color. They couldn't.
So we tested like 4 colors, and then we landed with this wrought iron by Benjamin Moore.
Yeah. And you know, the house gets different light all times of day, so you really had to like see what it looked like in all light. So my favorite thing is the separation you can achieve in a family. So my teenagers, who don't always want to be spending a lot of time with me, can retreat to their floor, and they're super happy to be up there, and I'm super happy that, you know, that they're up there making the noise that they make and I don't hear it. I think challenging in living here is that it's multiple floors. So someone taught me a long time ago who owned a townhouse. She said, there's a rule, if you walk up a staircase, you must carry something. So I thought it was a really funny thing when she said it, but it is true. Like I will find myself, I put things near the staircase that I know need to leave that floor. And so the next time I'm walking up the staircase, that's my job, is to take it upstairs. So I think that's the most challenging. I think from the design, it's the width, right?
I think, it's 17 or 18 inches
20
wide.
feet.
Supposedly it's 20, but then when it was finished, it was like 17,
Well, it's because
right?
you have to, you know, give to the wall.
So like I was excited about the 20-foot wide because I planned all this stuff, but then I didn't realize when the walls were finished that it wasn't going to be 20 feet anymore. So that was hard for me. So making rooms, like each floor is basically like 1 room in the front, 1 room in the back. So for this one is like 3. So making rooms is a challenge, I think. And
the circulation required for the staircase and the elevator.
Yeah.
It takes up a lot of space.
It's true. Now we're coming into the guest room, which is not your typical guest room. I'd say we're kind of inspired by Grandma Chic, right? But it's a room
that's
for
who's going to really be in this room.
right.
All the grandmas.
Grandmas, exactly. It's a room for guests. We use a Timber Species wallpaper. We love Timber Species, so it's another British designer, and also Trisha Guild headboard fabric, which I love, and I found this. It was my idea.
That's true.
So, score for me. And we did the same thing on a matching chair, just to tie it together. And just like really simple. It's just like a really pretty room, but like updated version.
I love this photo that Raymond found for me. This is funny.
That's a Holland.
Do you know though
Yeah,
why you found this?
This is from Clamp Art. I forgot why I found it, but we needed something to go in the bookcase in your old apartment. I remember
We
that.
had a photo shoot about to happen in our old apartment
Oh, right.
for a magazine, and we really needed something to ground like the bookshelf.
Yeah.
And you like brought this over. I'm like, this is amazing. Again, like our art
Yeah.
interest aligned, but like I had no choice because the photo was being taken that day. But I was like, can I keep it? Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, this is
So
from
I've
Clamp
had it
Art.
forever, 15 years.
It's a great gallery, and this artist, she does like, her name is Rachel Hullen. She does all these like floating babies and floating children kind of things. As they get bigger, they get more dramatic, but I think this is great. And then wedding photos.
Oh, yeah. We got married on my family's farm in Alabama. And so these are some shots of our barn and us at our reception. But this is, I've had these photos for a really long time. They used to be in hallways.
Yeah.
Again, like, we're just trying to, like, repurpose some things, you know,
Right.
that we could in the house.
And
so.
hide them from people too. Like family photos and stuff I'm not really big on.
No, family photos are definitely restricted to bedroom areas for sure. And because the only people really in here are our family members,
Yeah.
they love this.
It's nice.
Well, it is interesting when you own your own home in the city, like, right, you're responsible for the envelope of the building, for the exterior, for even the sidewalk in New York City. You're responsible for the sidewalk that runs in front of your house. So, I mean, I've always embraced that. I mean, I lived in co-ops prior to this, and I was always on the board, and I was always the person tasked with, like, if there was a problem with the exterior, I had to, like, come up with ways we're going to fix it and hire contractors. So I wasn't intimidated by that. I think some people do get intimidated by that.
Yeah.
But I actually love being, like, in charge of my own space, and it's really amazing. Like, when you own every inch of, you know, the property, you know, you can do with it what you want, and also, like, where you put your trash at night, where, you know, all these things, like, just become like your own choice, and I really liked that about it.
Yeah, it's like freedom and responsibility at the same time.
But I always had the responsibility, I felt like, so now I have the
Yeah,
freedom.
you have the freedom too. Right up the guest room is the powder room. This room we decided to use another Timorous Beasties wallpaper. And this one has a really large repeat, so it took some convincing to get Misty to agree to it, because you don't really see the full repeat because there's like one tree here, and then half a tree here. One great thing about this powder room is that there's actually a hidden shower in this, so it becomes a guest bathroom. Now we're going to the primary bedroom. This room is one of my favorite rooms in the house. We had interesting time coming up with a color for this room. We both like purples and blues and stuff, so we tried out a lot of purples and blues, and we landed with this color called Flower Box by Benjamin Moore, which I think we both love.
It has kind of a grape ape element to it, if
Yeah.
anyone remembers that from the 70s or 80s, but I think it's just the right blend. It also has a nod to a real gray undertone, which we have elsewhere in the house, so I feel like it made it feel consistent without being just like this crazy purple room.
Yeah, sometimes it feels gray, sometimes it feels purple, sometimes it feels blue.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, one of the things that made it from the old apartment is this chair, which
Oh, right.
we had reupholstered,
I think that's the third incarnation of that chair.
which is really cool. And it worked in this room really well because this color story is kind of like my vibe for sure. That piece of art is cool. That's from an Affordable Arts Fair too, right? Mm-hmm. Affordable Arts Fair. You have to check it out. This is Andy Dixon,
Yes.
the very controversial painting.
So I will say, I found this at an Affordable Arts Fair before I knew Raymond. I bought it before I knew Raymond. And it's by Canadian artist Andy Dixon. He's actually become quite famous. It's probably the most valuable piece of art I own now. But I will say almost every single person who's ever seen it has said, "What is that?" No one likes it. And Raymond wasn't super excited about it when he first met it. But I think you've come to embrace it now.
Yeah, I
And
like it now.
he reached out to you on Instagram
Yeah,
as well to
he's
say,
also
like,
reached
I
out.
can't believe you have this piece. Because I think this is one of his first pieces that I mean, the gallery that carrying it at the time has never gotten another collection of his since.
Yeah, and I think it really ties the room together. I mean, a lot of the colors in this painting are the colors that inspired this room, so it was a perfect place for it, actually. This, with the curtains, which is Creations Balmain. These curtains work so well with it. It all feels like kind of English, manor housey kind of thing, but like turn on its ear, you know? It's just like a twist. The bed is
Restoration
hardware,
but,
yeah.
Oh, actually, we didn't recover it.
No, that actually was one of the options.
Right. Usually we buy things from Restoration Hardware, Crate and Barrel, something like that, and we will custom cover it. But in this case,
we didn't, yeah.
We didn't.
This room was challenging, I think, because it was like small but big, and we wanted a seating area and a bed area, but we worked it out, and we have this beautiful fireplace. So we wanted everything to like kind of like work together. It was a challenge because to get the room, this is the width of the townhouse, right? Mm-hmm. To get this width, we had to like kind of like layer the furniture into the room and create this little love seat area, which I've always wanted. I love it when you have this kind of hotel and you have like a little place to sit. And there's like a little fireplace and the whole vibe. One funny thing about this is like all of these pillows, like Misty's husband, like we spend so much money decorating like all of their apartments. And every time I say we're gonna reuse that. And this time we actually did. We reused these pillows from their old den, which did cost a fortune. We reused them again. So I was right, we reused them. These are all Designer Guild fabrics. And we just kind of like mixed them. These tables are from Made Goods. They're resin.
they're incredibly light.
They look heavy, but they're really light.
You can lift it with one
These
hand.
are made with resin. But Made Goods is a really great resource for this kind of thing. So it looks like it's some kind of stone.
They have some depth to them, but I don't know. They just sort of, they give some interest to the room.
Yeah.
We put our coffee on it in the morning.
There's no
and sit
TV
there.
in here,
No.
but which I was really happy about. But like you could sit here and like read a book. Read a book.
This is where we have our coffee in the morning with our dog. When we were looking for a house, we didn't much care what the interior looked like or any configuration of the interior because we knew from the beginning we were going to gut renovate anything we found. So really we were just looking for a location and the width of the house, because in New York City, the width of a townhouse is like critical to really being able to, you know, get out of it what you need. So we were really just focused on width, depth, and location. So that's how we chose this house. But this house was originally a two-family. There was a kitchen on the top floor, there was a kitchen on the bottom floor. It's nothing like what you see now. In fact, a woman was standing outside my house one day and asked me, do I live here? And I said yes, and she actually lived in the top apartment and got married on the stoop. So she asked if she could come in, and I gave her a tour, and you know, the only thing that looked familiar to her was the garden. So, and even we changed that, but so it's not recognizable from when we first came here.
This house has been totally transformed. I mean, one of the big changes and probably the best thing about this is that the kitchen, which used to be like down on the garden level, is now on the main floor. So it's a really light and bright area now. And this whole floor used to be separate rooms, and now it's like one big room, like a loft, which they lived in a loft before. So a loft feeling is something that they're really familiar with. And I think it's something you don't always see in the townhouses, this openness and brightness.
Yeah, I think we both instantly agreed the kitchen needed to move.
Yeah.
And actually talked to my real estate agent about it for resale purposes, and he didn't think it was the best idea. But I think it's like hands down one of the best ideas we made, even though it wasn't popular at the time.
I agree. I think a lot of people are stuck in the past. They think the kitchen belongs downstairs, but like that's not how we live now. People don't want to be away from their families when they're cooking and then like go upstairs to like a dining room. I don't even know how that would work, actually.
I know. I will say too, when Raymond and I first conceived of any townhouse, whether it was this one or any other one, along the way, I think we both agreed we wanted to keep it somewhat referential to the past.
Yeah.
But modernize it. So like we didn't do a steel and glass staircase. We actually mimicked what sort of was here before, and we had it, you know, made.
Yeah.
And we kept the newel post. We tried to keep as much of the original detail as we could. All the moldings are new, but they're all referential of what would have been here when this was built in the late 1800s. But then, of course, you'll look around, and obviously all the furnishings are modern. So we wanted to kind of play with that juxtaposition.
It's kind of a mix. It's true. Like the original staircase was kind of a mess, so it had to get ripped out, and then we replaced it with something that looked really similar to what was there. So, but then we painted it black, so it's kind of a modern take on tradition.
Yes, also not a favorite of most people when they heard that we were going to paint it black.
Yeah, people have no vision. They have no vision. They didn't want a black kitchen
They
either.
didn't want a black kitchen either.
God, I had to fight for the black kitchen.
Yes.
Let's go into the dressing room. This room was a lot of fun to create. We did this Carrie Brown wallpaper on the ceiling. Again, I love Carrie Brown. This light fixture from Visual Comfort. Agreeing on a color was kind of challenging.
Tough, yeah. I didn't want to commit to all this built-in millwork in a really avant-garde color because I thought for resale that wouldn't be the wisest decision.
Right.
But so we've kind of found this purple that really reads gray.
Yeah.
It really actually reads more purple because we have a purple rug in here now. But I think if we were to change the rug.
Yeah.
So it was
would
kind of
read
a
gray.
compromise. Raymond really wanted to go purple.
I wanted to go really strong purple like in the other room. But I think this is like Misty Lilac or something like
Yeah,
that
I
from
know.
Benjamin Moore. And it is laying in between purple and gray, but
Yeah.
you kind of know it's purple.
Yes.
And I think it suits the room. You know, like we both love fashion, so there's like lots and lots of fashion references, lots of bags and stuff. So this was like, I was really excited to do like a closet and like a little dressing area, show off all the bags. What about this? I bought this.
Yeah, Raymond wants to point out the Birkin that he helped my husband purchase, which is one of my favorite bags.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love this. You know what I love about this space more than anything is the ceiling height. I kind of fought really hard to get the ceiling height. A lot of people didn't think that was the right move for such a small space. But I think it's always given a grandeur to this closet that's really unexpected.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it makes it feel like it wasn't meant to be that way. I think it actually, because of sort of the open shelving and everything, your eye is drawn up to the wallpaper. I don't know. It feels like it was meant to be this tall.
It's
but
true.
I think conventional wisdom would have said to lower the ceiling in a closet.
I think that this is great. I think the key to this room is it's actually really not that big. It's like 10 by 9 or something like that, but it doesn't feel small. It feels like a room where you want to like live in here. I love my closet, so closets are really important to me. And I love looking at all my stuff. So I like all the idea of all the open shelves and like being able to see all your stuff, you know, even when you're not using it.
I think a lot of people, like, this is like sort of the enviable, like, to have a big closet. Like most closets in Manhattan aren't this like open. They're not as spacious, right?
I think people would kill for a closet like this. That's the thing. Like my closet is tiny, but I have a lot of clothes. So yeah, I would kill for a closet like this too. So I think it's the most desirable thing. I think it's rare to have this in a brownstone. Even in a townhouse like this, you wouldn't really allocate this much space for clothes.
Yeah.
Unless you love clothes.
Right. A lot of people would design the primary floor to be the primary bedroom, and then this would be the bathroom. And then on the other side, they would have another bedroom with a small attached bathroom.
Yeah.
We decided we really wanted to commit to this being the primary floor, which left, and also I wanted the natural light in the bathroom. So it left this sort of middle space, which might have been occupied by a bathroom in other townhouses, to be a closet, which we just thought was extra special.
Let's go to the primary bathroom. This room is all white, which I love a white bathroom. So this was like not a big fight between us because we both agreed that the bathroom should be white. And we did some really cool things. We did a really nice floor from Tile Bar, and we did this custom marble, which Misty found again.
Well, I think what's funny is we actually envisioned this to be
We wanted
breccia.
lilac at first, and then
right,
breccia the
breccia.
second time. Yeah.
And
dental
but when we
lines.
ended up with this floor that we both were obsessed with, I went to the stone yards and started looking for the breccia and the lilac, and it just wasn't making any sense.
It didn't make sense, yeah.
And finally, I was just like, we can't do that. So we have to figure out something else. But I didn't want to just use Carrara.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go with a Calcutta that had like a brown hue to it, because
Right.
we wanted to keep this really white. So that's sort of like how this came to be.
Yeah, and this is bath stone too?
This is bath stone, yes. And I really love how thick this is. Like I really have rarely seen this sort of thickness on a countertop.
Yeah, this is another thing where we mitered it to make it look like it's really a
Right.
thick piece of marble. And I think it's really effective. I think it's only the first time I've ever done it. I did it again in a show house, but this worked out great.
And we also had a decision to make about the shower.
Yeah.
Because the architect had suggested maybe we drop the ceiling. Like traditionally you might drop the ceiling over a shower.
Yeah, I didn't want that.
And, actually contain it, like that the glass would stop at the ceiling height. But we did many mock-ups and decided that we wanted to just kind of disappear. Like we wanted the room to sort of like you see through the shower to create a sense of space. So that's how we ended up with this.
It's more open, and like you want the high ceilings, and we didn't have room for crown molding around the windows, so we did like crown molding here, and the windows have like this really cool little detail.
Never to be used, but it's very
This
pretty.
bathroom was really easy to choose because we both agreed very quickly what it should look like. It was
Well, we actually picked, I don't know if you remember, we picked a different one. And it weighed 700 pounds.
Oh, right.
And we're on the third floor, for those at home. So getting a 700-pound bathtub up to the third floor was challenging. And we actually tried to hoist it through windows, and we weren't sure it was going to fit.
Right.
So we had to kind of go back to the drawing board and
yeah.
find something that was light enough.
This looks really similar.
It does.
It looks really similar, and it's acrylic, but it's great, and it's a nice moment by the window. This photo used to
One of
belong
my
to
favorites.
me.
And I tried to steal it for years.
This is a photo by Leonard Gnomes from the 70s. It's from GQ magazine, and it used to be in my apartment, and she was like, I really like that photo, when are you gonna sell it to me? And I was like, never. I really don't want to.
Didn't you put it, it was in a showcase.
And then I used it in a show house in the Hamptons, and
Yes.
she saw it again.
And I was
and
really upset that he used it in the Hamptons showcase house.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? You're not even using it in your apartment now. You should
I
sell it to me. So he actually, I don't even think you told me. You
No.
surprised me with it and brought it to my house.
I did. Because I was like, okay, I just take it. But it's cool. I love this photo, and I think it's like really great, like in a bathroom.
And now we're entering one of my daughter's rooms. It's cleaner than the other one because this daughter is at college and doesn't live here anymore. Anyway, both of my kids feel really strongly now that they're somewhat adults, that they get a say in what their room looks like, much to the chagrin of myself and Raymond.
Yeah.
So it's always a little bit of a negotiation. For instance, the color of the walls in this room were specifically picked by my daughter. Neither Raymond nor I liked the color at the time. I think Raymond decided it's grown on him. And then, all the art, everything is specific to her. So while Raymond sources things, it's like a pitch that he has to make every time. So she's really into Formula One, so she's got some Formula One car prints. This particular print just appealed to her. It's just basically, though, the room was really dictated because this is one of the existing fireplaces, and it's the only mantle that survived that we could actually use. So we didn't want to destroy it, but it really meant that the room layout was dictated by where it existed. And we had this professionally cleaned. It looked terrible when we bought the house, and we were amazed at how well it turned out.
Yeah, it's a really cool room. I think with teenagers, it's always a compromise. I had to give in a lot to what I wanted. But in the end, I think this room feels very her, and I think it feels very happy. And I think you could see that I had a hand in doing it. It's like a little bit bohemian, a little bit fun. We did a lot of fun pillows and a lot of like good vibes. But I think, you know, with kids, you have to like give them what they want. Designing for a teenager is probably the hardest job in interior design, because I think what happens is, like, I grew up with these kids, or they grew up with me rather, and they started out as like really small and very agreeable, and then they started to have their own personalities, and then they're like, okay, I like this, I like that. Like, I remember last time I did Carolina's room, she liked pink, like
Yes.
pink, and everything was pink. We did a
Bright.
whole pink room, like
Bright pink.
bright pink. And now she likes yellow. You know, it's not my favorite color, but I think this yellow works. I get where she's coming from. It's kind of 70s, which I love, and I love the idea. I mean, we both agreed on this photo. We found it on Minted, and it took a while to find something that she really, really liked, but I wanted something really big over the bed because the bed's so minimal. So I think it's a dance with kids, you know, not kids, but teenagers, young adults. It's a dance. Home is a place that when you have to go there, they have to let you in.
I think home means something specific to me because I've lived in New York for so long. So I think home in New York is a respite from the craziness of outside, the chaoticness of our environment. So like when I'm home, I just want it to be quiet, serene, comfortable. Like I just need the escape. So that's what I think of when I think
That's
of my home.
nice. That's nice. You know, it's funny because we're both from Alabama, but we both live in New York now. You know, it's like such a different environment, and I think in New York you need a haven. So I think home is like a haven from whatever's going on outside. I love living here, but you need to get away from it sometimes.
Hi, Homeworthy. I've been waiting for you. My name is Allie. Welcome to my Ridgewood home. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Allie Doman. I am an interior designer, and we are in my home in Ridgewood, Queens. We found this apartment through my husband Evan's friend. She's a born and bred New Yorker. She's a real estate agent, so she knows her New York apartments. This was a family apartment, so I believe it was her great aunt who owned the space. It's one of those like iconic Ridgewood 6-family buildings, and we knew that we only had a day to decide because this is one of those New York miracles because it's quite a nice size space and it is a rent stabilized building. So we got in very fast and just made the decision. We knew we had to have it. We definitely knew that the space really needed some TLC because the people that lived in this building prior to us, they had been living here for decades. They raised multiple generations here. And so, you know, they kind of let it slip a bit. I know it's not typical to renovate a rental, but because of the condition that I was in, it really felt like it was necessary. And of course, we got approval from the landlord. We added all new hardwood flooring. We even added like a second layer underneath the hardwood because Evan is a drummer. And so we're on the top floor, and we knew that if he wanted to, you know, make his music, practice his drums, we didn't want to bother our neighbors. So there was sort of another element to the renovation. We totally transformed the kitchen. We added new tiles. We added all new appliances. Same goes for the bathroom. We did keep some original things. The tub is original, and the kitchen backsplash. And of course, we kept all the gorgeous built-in cabinets that were here prior. You know, this is pre-war, so these date back to 1930s, around that era. So that charm is really what sold us on the space. So here we are in my living room. This is the first room that you see when you walk in, and I'm obsessed with my wall colors. It took me a while to decide which color I thought would be perfect for this space. I actually got the green couch first, so I knew that it had to go with green, and I wanted it to be rich. I wanted it to feel, like this sort of perfect mid-tone, not too bright, not too pale. I tested out a ton of different Faro and Ball colors, which is a British company, one of the oldest paint companies in the world. Their paint is lead-free. It's like way better for you than most paints. So I definitely wanted to upgrade my paint selection a bit. And of course, Faro and Ball, it's just like iconic. So had to have it. So tested out quite a few different colors and settled on this one. It is called Dutch Orange. And I believe it now might be part of their archival collection, but it's actually cool. They've featured my home on their website to show off the color. So I'm quite proud of that. And I definitely feel like this is such an invigorating color. It's so alive. It makes me feel happy. It's like sunshine. I know that you've probably immediately saw this painting, which is one of my favorite purchases I've ever made. This is a recreation of a painting called The Joy of Life by Henri Matisse. And I first saw this painting, the real one, actually in Philadelphia, where I'm from, at the Barnes Museum. I saw this piece. It's massive, and it actually has its own room. And I just have this like beautiful, vivid memory of seeing that. And just took my breath away. Like, I think the title is so real, because for me, this is the joy of life. I literally feel like I'm the redhead girl in the middle. I just sort of am obsessed with like her pose. She's so relaxed. She's so sensual. She's so free. She's watching her friends gallivanting around this like mystical, colorful forest. And she's got her lady with her, and there's lovers and music. And it's just like the epitome of joy. You can literally see the color like right here. So I love that, it picks up this art piece, and, I want to show it off. This was like one of my first big girl purchases, shall we say. So these pillows, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with these. These are Cold Picnic, which is a Brooklyn-based design company. I really like to feature a lot of like local Brooklyn artists. So you'll see that throughout my home. But yeah, they're so fun. I love the colors. And I mean, come on, tell me that's not perfect with the walls. And then I have my little alligator one here. So cute. And yeah, I mean, red and green, classic combo. This blanket was actually gifted to me from one of my good friends. And this is also a Brooklyn-based designer. It's called Color, spelled CLR. And the designer makes these beautiful quilts and blankets. They're just so special. They're also reversible, so you can actually see that I could decide if I wanted to go, that direction. I love this though, because this is has the blue in it, which you'll see in just a moment. Lots of blue in my space. I'll talk a little bit about my coffee table. I describe her as a lady because she looks like she's this sort of gorgeous, sensual, curvaceous woman just laying down. And that's also a running theme in my house. I also love that it mimics a lot of the shapes of the Matisse piece. And this is a biomorphic table. It's from around like 70s, 80s, like more of a postmodern piece. So I think it goes well with the shape of the mid-century sofa. My husband and I went to go pick it up, and I took off the glass part, nice and light. It's tempered glass. It's like indestructible. I have dropped 1,000 things on here and not even a scratch. It's insane. And then he had the bottom part, and so he sort of picked her up, and he kind of was just like, all right, honey. And I was like, oh, you have a damsel in distress. You're walking home with this sort of fabulous woman in your arms. So, I mean, it was just this funny visual that I think about. But yeah, I think also the fact that it's black is a really important thing to consider, because there is so much color that I love to find ways to use black to ground all the color, and specifically black and white. That is like my favorite color combination. I think that it's just chic, it's very New York, it's retro. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of black and white as well. Let's see, we have this Jonathan Adler ruggable. I have 2 cats, so a ruggable was appropriate. Talk about a repeating motif in the home. I have a lot of like graphic, geometric stripes, squares, tiles. So just really sort of on theme in a way of like the retro New York City apartment. I love how it's sort of an ombre palette. So it goes from a darker blue into the lighter tones, and then obviously picks up some pretty reds and purples, which you'll also see in my space. So it's a nice sort of introduction to the palette of the home and brings it all together. So now I want to point your attention upward to our ceiling. We have this really cool, actually styrofoam ceiling that we just installed. It's just these sort of big tiles that you essentially put some glue on, stick them up. Of course, it takes a little bit of math because it has to be, you know, accurate, and you have to cut the pieces in the shape of the space. But I just had my friend do that for me, and obviously it's sort of meant to replicate a classic New York tin ceiling. So this is a really great way to cover a less than ideal ceiling. Ours was just a really basic sort of drop ceiling, square boxes. It definitely had a little bit of damage, some discoloration. So I'm really excited about this upgrade. And I love that it, you know, it sort of reflects a little bit of like I said, old New York, old world, Art Deco. So yeah, it's a great new addition. And I also love it for the backdrop of my chandelier. This is a Sputnik mid-century style custom piece that was something that I got as soon as I knew I was going to own a green sofa. They have this sort of crazy, wacky, almost like futuristic energy. I also think that they provide a lot of nice light because, you know, you get a ton of light bulbs that you can turn on and off or dim. We just sort of decide that we only want about half of them on, depending on kind of like the workflow, or if we, you know, want more mood lighting or task lighting. So yeah, I really like this piece. It's funky and it's loud. I like that. And then in the mid-century realm, I inherited this gorgeous media cabinet. It's stores our record player, which my husband Evan loves. He has a massive collection. You'll see that later. Oh, it's my cat toy. I was like, what's happening? I have my cat toy in here. So that's just a little like behind the scenes moment for you, that my kitty cats, they need their little bits of entertainment as well. So I'll put this somewhere else. So it opens up and, oh, we don't have any wine stored right now and it's a bit dusty, but you can store beautiful bottles of wine, booze. We are more like drinkers, not savers. So we don't really save the booze. But it's such a cool piece. And my mom actually, she held on to it for many years because she knew she wanted to pass it down to one of her kids when they had a real adult home. And I was the first one of us, so I got it. And I just love how it's simple. It doesn't have a lot of, you know, ornate details, bells and whistles. It's just like a really beautiful, clean, minimal piece with gorgeous reddish, you know, walnut wood. And it's also a perfect size. You know, obviously this nook has its limitations. But it was, yeah, it worked out perfectly. Also, this is kind of crazy. This wood on our speakers matches so flawlessly. And these were actually something that my husband had gotten ages ago. So there was no connection to my piece and then his speakers. So I love these. They almost feel like part of the set in a way. And I love this sort of linen fabric on it. And yeah, it's just a really like cool retro space. I love to show off this built-in, again, original pre-war feature that I'm so grateful to have. I decided to paint most of our built-ins black because, you know, deciding that I was going to keep some of the walls white, I knew that the black would really pop, and this is something that I, you know, really want to show off. So I think it was a pretty good choice to do that. I mean, you can see how stunning these little details are, so ornate, so just so, you know, so authentic to the building. So I love that. And yeah, you know, this is an eclectic bookshelf. I did sort of attempt to do like a color coding moment. That was definitely a pandemic in the house lockdown project, shall we say. These are just some really fun little like bubble shaped candle holders I got in Bushwick. The matching one is in my room. This is this stunning piece of pottery, ceramic. I mean, it's such a fabulous little sipping cup. I mean, I don't actually sip out of it, but I wish I did. Actually, I would feel chic with my espresso in the morning and this like fun gold details. But no, this is actually handmade by one of my friends. She's you know, she owns her own business. It's called Domingo Ceramics. So look her up because her stuff is amazing. She actually makes this. I just got one of these as a gift from one of my clients, actually. And you can get an entire set of these. So they're like the perfect table scape for a party or tea or coffee. I love this one. Another lounging lady, go figure. So this is an old ashtray. Look at this. This girl's a little bit more active than my coffee table and my Matisse girl. She's got the whole, you know, sort of can, and then look at this. She has her own little fan. So you put the, you know, the butt in there. I love Judy Garland. I love Dorothy. I actually, one of my like favorite things about my time performing on the stage, and I still do, you know, I go to cabarets, I'll sing at piano bars, I have like a whole Judy Garland set that I'll do, and I wrote a show, it was a one-woman play about Judy Garland and Dorothy, and so I performed that in London and New York, so I have a ton of little, you know, Easter eggs, if you will, of Judy and Dorothy. That's one of them. I also have this really cool old Wizard of Oz children's book, one of the original ones my dad gave to me. So yeah, I definitely love to have all the women and people that inspire me. Here's my husband when he was younger. He's so cute. This is him. These are just some photos from our wedding with his best lady. We had a best lady instead of a best man. One of our biggest things that we did was we changed out the flooring. When we found it in its condition, the floors were like a really beaten up laminate tile. They were just like, they really needed work. So we decided that we were gonna just go big or go home. But one of the challenges of adding this floor was that the home was completely like sloped. So we actually had to add a new subfloor, which definitely prolonged the renovation process. You know, my husband is a drummer, so we also wanted to consider the fact that we were on the top floor, and if he wanted to like practice or play music, we just wanted to make sure that our neighbors didn't want to, you know, move out because we were loud. So we, you know, by adding that extra layer, it was very useful. Yeah, it's definitely like an amazing feature to have brand new hardwood floors in a pre-war rental. Yeah, so my design style is definitely eclectic. I think that's the best way to describe it, because I really love to mix and match so many different design aesthetics and pieces from different eras. I take inspiration from so many different people who have so many unique styles. So, you know, I brand my business as Colorful and Comfortable Homes by Ali Doman. And I think the colorful part definitely applies to this space. I originally, when we moved in, I lived with mostly white walls because I knew that I wanted to get a sense of the space and how it felt to me. Color is so so much about how you want to feel, and you don't really have that information until you get to spend time in it. And of course, some people don't have the luxury of doing that, so that's when, you know, you hire me and I walk through the home and I get a sense of where the light is coming in, and we do, you know, a whole evaluation and really decide which colors work best for my clients and for the space. But yes, colorful and of course comfortable. You know, functionality is the most important thing. The home has to work for you and the way you want to live in it. If you're an entertainer, if you like to read, if you like to cook. So there's so many things to consider. But I also feel like people definitely recognize me with my use of, you know, mid-century modern, the shapes, the organic textures, the, you know, clean lines. And then I love to totally like do the opposite and then, you know, infuse organic shapes and asymmetry and curves. And I think that combination is really what defines my style, and I think you'll see it a lot throughout my home. And right next to my living room is my kitchen. It's just really nice to have that dual space that functions, you know, so easily for our lifestyle. And I love how bright this kitchen is. We get such gorgeous natural light, so we hardly ever need to use our overhead. I also love actually the colors of the buildings. I like to sort of think about what is outside of the space as much as I, you know, think about inside. It really should all flow. It should resonate with each other. And so this building here, just in the center, is this really beautiful blue. And I actually think that the blue that I chose really coordinates with it. So that's just a fun little feature. When we renovated it, you know, I think I 100% knew that I wanted the classic black and white checkerboard tile. That was really important to me. And, you know, so from there, we just kind of did whatever. I mean, you know, what's interesting is that before I really was in this sort of design career, I always had inclinations about what I liked and things that I thought worked or didn't. I picked these cabinets out, and, you know, mostly just because I wanted it to be very fresh and bright. And I also like that it's glossy because it feels a little bit more like modern and contemporary, without it being too kitschy and too like retro, you know, themey. So I think that there's something nice about that glossiness and just that simplicity. And then adding this hardware obviously kind of gives it a little bit of character. It's got these sort of cool, like faceted details, and, you know, they kind of pop against the white. And yeah, again, black and white, baby. This is like a nice black quartz top, great for cooking on, you know, doing whatever, heat resistant. And then our appliances, we got, you know, all new appliances. So we upgraded the appliances, which is fabulous. So yeah, you know, nothing super fancy, but just like definitely a big step up from what was here before. It's a really perfectly functioning space. Espresso machine. This is like OG from Starbucks. I don't remember the year, but like I don't even think they make them anymore. But you can even see like their logo is kind of like, it's sort of a different branding than what it is now. So that's kind of cool that we have a little like piece of Starbucks history. To me, this was so over the top. I couldn't believe I did this, but I actually bought, you know, like little matching spice jars that have even like labels. And this was a project that I did probably while watching like The Real Housewives or something. But it honestly makes the space look so much more put together and cohesive. So, you know, it was a nice upgrade from all the branded spices. So yeah, I like this little picturesque spot. And of course, we really wanted to find ways that we could utilize the wall storage as much as possible. So, you know, we added like these big shelves for pots and pans. We have another one over here, sort of like the retro kitchen, just the exposed you know, stainless steel. So, you know, I think it adds character. It kind of brings in another texture and something that obviously relates to a kitchen. So I like the open storage of it all. And then of course, as I mentioned, our built-in. So this is one of the built-ins, again, original, definitely needs a little bit of work. It's kind of, it's seen a couple years, but this is such a, you know, again, a beautiful addition to the space. And something that we did to cater to our kitty cats in the house that also live here full time, we actually opened up the base of this cabinet. So it used to have a door. We took the door off. We had to do a little bit of cutting, and we just got a litter robot machine. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing, but I will say it's been kind of the perfect solution because the cats have almost like a little privacy. And, you know, it's neutral, it's white, it's kind of looks high tech. So, I don't know, I'm pretty proud of that. And I think it's yeah, a great way to hide, you know, ugly cat stuff. Oh, and then of course, how could I forget? This is one of my favorite features that really connects the living room to the kitchen. This was a really fun addition, and this is a vintage like little metal chain piece. This kind of feels a little bit like grandma's house, but I love it for that. And it's massive, so we can fit a ton of things. I don't always have like beautiful color-coded fruits in here. That's just for you guys today. It's usually like bread and, you know, all this stuff, but you know, we gotta play it up. And there is some fake fruit as well. Actually, the fake fruit, you can definitely tell which is fake and which is real. I mean, I'm sorry, it doesn't really look, it's not the best replica, shall we say, but you know, it's a little fun touch to the space. So I wanted to draw your attention to this area because these are such incredible photographs that we purchased. It was actually part of a fundraiser during COVID. It was raising money for Elmhurst Hospital during, like, it was one of kind of the worst, you know, most chaotic hospitals during the time. So they really wanted to, you know, raise awareness, raise money. And so incredible photographers not donated, but, you know, sold their work for like literally like a tenth, an eighth of the price. So it was an opportunity for people that really wanted to own like incredible photography. It gave them that chance. So we definitely ran with it. We got 2 pieces. I love this piece. This is by a New York photographer called Vincent van du Vanguard. It's just such a beautiful like background, and I love the dress and how it's cascading. And then this is really fun. This is by a photographer called Matt Jones. And it's like this couple kind of snuggling at the Guggenheim, which I feel like this is something I would do with my husband. I like PDA. He doesn't as much, but anyway, it just resonated with me. So I love these pieces and the fact that we were able to, you know, get such fine art for a good cause. Yeah, and then I wanted to, just behind me, talk about this really like very perfectly straight door frame. Just kidding. I mean, look at this. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about with the sloping of our home. So a lot of old homes, they're not even at all. They have obviously wear and tear over the years, the weather changing, whatever it may be, humidity, water. And so, yeah, this is an example of one of the fun little quirks of living in a pre-war space. And, you know, not necessarily something that we were like, oh, we must fix this, because I do feel like it really gives it character. So yeah, there's a couple of those little like uneven moments. And then, oh, this is for my kitty cat, Ginger. This is actually a very fancy custom cat hammock. We got this, oh, she's got a couple little, again, all the little toys for the babies. But hopefully no real mice in the house, just only fake mice allowed, please. This is our little bistro area, which I think is a really cute and like well-sized dining space. I will admit that we don't really use it for dining as much. We're more of a coffee table on the floor couple, but you know, it's great for parties or when we have groceries, we need to put something down. But you know, adding again this sort of organic material like marble really helps elevate this space, make it give it a little bit more of like a contemporary feel. And then the ghost chairs are vintage. I got these from Kaya, they're Cartel. I think it's really useful to use acrylic and things that don't have as much of a heavy footprint when you're designing a smaller space, because yeah, they're like see-through, so they're functional, but they might as well be invisible. So yeah, I'm happy with this little area. There's a couple challenges with railroad apartments. I think the fact that it's just one shot, right? So you see the entire space in any room. So you need to make sure that the rooms feel cohesive and connected. So you do have to think about the space almost as like one big room. It essentially is that. It's one big hallway. And I think the other thing is that, it doesn't get as much light as say some other spaces in the city, because those middle rooms, yes, I'm lucky enough that we do have a window in every one of those middle rooms, but there is a building directly, connected to ours, so we don't get a ton of light. So finding ways to make the space feel bright and energetic throughout the day is a challenge. And of course, I would say the fact that we have 0 closets, like literally not one closet is in this house. And we do have 3 built-ins that were original to the building, and they have nice, deep drawers, but definitely not a replacement for a closet. So we're constantly, it's like a big game of Tetris in this house. Like we are discovering new ways to find storage and, constantly having to go through everything. I mean, before you guys came here, I was running around like a mad woman trying to, get all my things out of the corners. And so I think storage for sure is a challenge, but I mean, most New Yorkers would agree with me. Welcome to my Diva room. Now, some of you may say, Allie, why do you need this much space for all of your things? And it's because I have a lot of things, and I also love to show them off because I love clothes, I love fashion, I love, color and prints. Today I'm a little bit more simple and a little bit more neutral, let the home speak for itself. But yeah, I mean, sort of like, I just love to kind of wear, bold outfits, bold prints, lots of texture. We have some beautiful, like my grandmother's old furs, and it's almost that time of year. I cannot wait. It's just a really special thing to be able to like see your stuff all in one place. And obviously if you want to color code it, go for it. I did, because it's actually like very convenient when choosing an outfit. I also love like supporting a lot of local New York designers. One of my favorites is her name is Tyler McGillivray. She's a Brooklyn-based designer. I'll show you a couple of my pieces that I have from her. Oh, these are some of my favorite pieces. Look at this. Stunning. The details, the color, the shape. Love that piece. I probably have worn it like maybe twice, but it's definitely calls for a specific occasion. I also collect a lot of vintage clothing, obviously vintage furniture, vintage clothing. So yeah, some of my favorite items are vintage. This is like a beautiful raincoat that I got. Such a unique color. It's like a periwinkle-esque. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how to describe this color, but It's so cool. It's London Fog, which is just like a really iconic brand. So I love that trench. I also love vintage purses. This is another one that is so gorgeous. I got this in New York on a really successful day of shopping. It's just such a statement. Actually, it would look very good with this outfit. Looks good with everything. Again, black and white. I don't know what else to tell you. Look at this. Matching wallet. So cute. Yeah, this is one of my best purchases. So I could go on and on really, because I have so many fun things that I love to show off, but I won't. And yeah, and then just sort of moving on to the color, the palette, the concept of this style, this design. I think I wanted something that felt very boudoir, you know, like there's sort of like something that would be in an old Hollywood movie. And this is also a Farrow and Ball color. It's called Crimson Red. And it's interesting that it's described as red, because to me it reads much more like mauve, sort of more of like a dusty rose, dusty pink. It does look more red at night, so when the natural light is gone, it definitely glows a little bit more and has that reddish tone, like a brownish red. So it's a really transformative color, and I love colors that like take on different you know, shapes and you know, palettes throughout the day. So I think that's really, really fun. I knew I wanted to color drench this room, and I also knew that the color really had to, you know, make sense with the other room that's attached to it, because as we just, you know, discussed, this is just essentially one long hallway. So it had to flow nicely. In that same vein, I must show you my lipstick mirror. Kind of scooch around here. It is so iconic, this silhouette. It's so diva, it's glam, definitely sort of part of that, you know, 60s, 70s era, and it has storage. It's a bit messy, don't judge me. Oh my gosh, it is quite messy, but that's okay. I have so much jewelry too. I had my own jewelry business at one point, so I still have tons of pieces from that. But yeah, it's pretty rare to find a lipstick mirror with this much storage. So this was like a must-have. You can see it kind of like goes like that. It's just so unique. I to this day, I haven't seen one with storage. I found this from Dobbin Street Co-op, which is a really awesome vintage secondhand store. They have 2 locations, one in Williamsburg, one in Greenpoint. So yeah, they posted this online, and I immediately was like, I think I was the first person to reach out. I was like, it's mine. So yeah, this is one of my pride and joy possessions. In the same vein as all the lounging, glamorous ladies of our home and our art and decor, I incorporated this Matisse lady, and I thought it was a nice nod to the piece that's in the living room. And I knew that I wanted there to be something large scale and artful here, but of course, being that it's like this long hallway, we have the doors, double doors, so I knew that, you know, putting some kind of like clunkier art piece would be tricky, because I wouldn't want it to get, you know, damaged with the doors opening and closing. So I was trying to get creative, and again, this was a pandemic project. So with these gorgeous moldings, I thought, oh my gosh, this is kind of perfect to make like a large scale art piece that's already attached to the room. So I spent days using like the Robin Buff gold leaf and painting. I have one here, and then I have another one to the right of it. And this definitely was a labor of love, to say the least. I feel as though it's worth talking about this this vanity. I really don't know the history of this vanity. I don't know what era it's from. I found it secondhand. But I was obsessed with so many of the little details, like the scalloping detail here. If you look, I love that wave. It really flows well with like the Matisse pieces. I found this mermaid, another one of my gorgeous sensual women. This I found with my friend. We were out thrifting and I had to have her. She has this dolphin. She's got a whole little under the sea world. Q and Ariel, right? Little Mermaid. Yeah, I mean, also obviously finding a piece that has a lot of storage. I'm not going to open these because it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's not a mess. We'll see. Oh, it's a mess. No, we're not doing it. Yeah, so this is a really cool vanity. Definitely something, when I've taken photos of this room, I see this exact sort of shot on Pinterest a lot. People really like this shot specifically because I think it's very, like I said, very glamorous. And I added these shelves. I think that obviously, you know, wanting to utilize the wall space as much as I could, it meant just building up, right? Not out, because I don't have a lot of depth at my advantage. So I think this was a really important decision, and you know, just painting it, color drenching, you know, install the shelves, paint them. They almost have like a built-in feel, and obviously you have to measure and make sure that everything is going to fit all of your items, so that's always a good thing to note. But yeah, I love being able to see a lot of my fun shoes. These are kind of more my party shoe. These, I want to show you again, sort of on my, it's my best friend Betty and I at her wedding. I was her maid of honor. But this bag was a gift from one of my other BFFs, Emily. This was my wedding invitation. This was the font, and this is what it said on it. This is kind of like the running theme, very like Shakespearean, Renaissance woman of me. But I was gifted this gorgeous bag. She had her friend customize that, and then if you open it, it says, "Till death do us part," and that's when we got married. And this also again was part of my wedding invitation, so this is really special. I love this bag, and this also looks good with my outfit. I love a pop of red. So yeah, that's a piece that I definitely cherish. Now, a glowy light fixture is really important in a space that you want to feel beautiful. You want warm lighting to really like set a nice tone for your makeup and your getting ready sessions. So I thought that this paper light was a beautiful statement, and again, it sort of balances out a lot of like the glamorous elements of the space. I think adding organic natural textures like paper and, you know, like the cowhide and anything that just sort of can really ground the room is important. So I think this light is, you know, I mean, they're very popular. They're popular for a reason. I honestly feel like having this bamboo room divider as a window treatment is kind of a cool idea, because there is some privacy that you get. B, you still get light coming in, so it doesn't darken the room. And also, I think it's just really cool to kind of create, yeah, like another sort of pattern, another sort of decorative element that maybe you wouldn't get otherwise. So this is like a really fun way to bring in some graphic cool details. This is obviously like a floral pattern, and I really like the way that the green lives in the space, and I also like the sound. ASMR, Homeworthy edition. In the same vein as the flowers that you see in the window treatment, we have my stunning Hollywood Regency lamp. This is a classic lotus flower piece, straight from the sort of Hollywood Regency Art Deco era. I love the light that it gives off. It's so feminine. It's like, you know, really pops in this room. And I think it's definitely like one of the statements of the space. I love the bright gold. It's just perfect for a Diva room. I started posting on Instagram a ton of, you know, little things I was doing in my home. My friends were all stuck at home, you know, bored during COVID, and so they were really into my content. And then from there, some friends who had moved apartments, and they were, like I said, it was the sort of pandemic time, so some people got their dream homes during that, you know, less than ideal time, and they wanted somebody to help them. So it just almost found me, you know. People asked me to come over to design. I charged them a little bit because I was like, is this what I'm doing? Is this my new job? But I loved it. I was obsessed with it. It was like this treasure hunt. It was like this adult treasure hunt, you know, finding all the puzzle pieces to make this like beautiful larger picture. And you know, the best part is that it's somebody's home. You know, it's so personal, and it means so much to me that people trust me with that. And I love that I can leave a little piece of me in people's spaces. So that's how I got into it. I started my own business called Dome and Decors. You can find me on Instagram at Dome and Decors, or my website. And I've been, you know, very blessed and lucky that the business is growing every single year. I started it, I believe, in 2021 or 2. So it's been, you know, it's been a few years, and it's a full-time job, and I love it. Now I'm going to show you my husband's music studio, office, and his personal dressing room. So we're super lucky to have this really functional space. Obviously, as you can see, Evan is a musician. He's a drummer. He also makes a lot of music. So this room really had to check a lot of boxes. And we also managed to put all of his things in this wardrobe, which, yes, it is an IKEA PAX wardrobe that we sort of blinged out, if you will, with some wallpaper. So I think it's cool to kind of use you know, decals wallpaper to really customize a somewhat, you know, basic piece. I picked this wallpaper, again, it's very graphic, it fits with the tiling and the geometry of the home, and I also think that it's cool because a lot of the black squares are represented here in the small scale, and then you get to see a lot of those squares throughout the walls and the ceiling. And at first when he told me he had to totally treat this room, I was like, oh, what is this gonna look like? I don't want all this like ugly eyesore panels up. But I mean, I will say, I think the way he did it, it definitely has a little bit more of a point of view. It's not just so random. So I'm not mad about it. And again, it's really about the functionality, as I mentioned. I think again, this room just works for him. It's soundproofed, and yeah, and he actually gets a ton of storage. I want to point out this beautiful painting that we're so lucky to have, because it's by a very famous artist named Wilson McLean, who also is in Evan's family. So he is you know, a very like world famous artist. He's done paintings, illustrations for Time Magazine, Sports Illustrated. He's amazing. He's actually in the Illustration Hall of Fame. So it's incredible that we get to have one of his pieces. And this is a painting of a famous blues musician named Muddy Waters. And Wilson did a whole series of famous jazz blues musicians, which is kind of perfect because Evan grew up playing jazz. He loves jazz and blues. So it was, you know, kismet that he was able to get one of these pieces in his collection. And I love the colors that are here. Obviously, this sort of blues and oranges, and even if you notice, like this is very close to the crimson red that I have in my my dressing room. So I'm actually just noticing that right now. Like sometimes I don't even realize why I do the things I do, and then I look closely and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like living room, sort of kitchen, diva room. Oh, look at that, we have pinstripe. I mean, you know. But anyway, I think this is just brilliant. And of course we need to have a little bit of a downlight shining on it so that it's really highlighted. I think, like, you know, if you can find ways to highlight artwork and things that are important, you should. And in the world of all the beautiful art that we have from Evan's side of the family, this is a painting that was actually done by Evan's grandmother, Joan, and it's of his mother, Nancy. So it's got this really lovely history of all the women that he adores. And again, the running theme of all the ladies in our home. It's super cool that we get to have his mom featured. This is like a photo of her when she was younger, but I love all the colors. And obviously, you know, his grandma and his mother, they're both amazing artists. His mother's an incredible artist. I wish we had some of her pieces in here, but we have some in our home upstate. But anyway, this is also kind of a little fun DIY thing I want to mention, because I knew I wanted to have something along this wardrobe since it's such like a white blank canvas. And again, you're sort of transitioning from each room, so all the different angles are reflected. But so instead of drilling into this wardrobe, I actually hung it with a piece of rope, and I have like a paperweight that's just sitting right up on top of the wardrobe. And I could not believe how sturdy it is. I felt like I was a genius when I did that, because you know, it was just sort of a great solution. And now we get this we get to look at this gorgeous piece every day when we wake up. The best thing about this apartment, I just think I'm so lucky that I get these gorgeous, you know, New York characteristics, like the picture box moldings. I mean, all the trim, the door frames, you know, there's so many stunning details that you just can't really, I mean, of course you can replicate, but it's just nothing like the original. So I think those details are just like, it's priceless, and it makes an interior pop in such a different way than, you know, if you do live in sort of a new build that's just like nice white, you know, clean walls. Our walls have lived a life. They have a lot of stories. I think they definitely are not perfect, but I would take imperfect walls any day if it means I get to have these lovely details. My favorite room in the home, oh my gosh, it's hard to choose because they all work well for different purposes. I think I'm gonna say my bedroom. Blue is my favorite color to use in interior design, and even before I knew anything about interior design, I always gravitated towards blue rooms. The color that is in my bedroom was actually the only color that I chose for the whole house when we were renovating it. I knew that I wanted it white, as I mentioned, but then that blue just stood out to me, and I had this like spiritual connection with it. It's just the perfect mid-tone blue. It's serene, but it's also a little bit energetic because of the undertones. I love how cozy the space is. My cats love the space, so they're always cuddled up in the bedroom, and I'm just like, I love to be horizontal and sleep. So for that reason, I'm gonna say the bedroom. And now directly next to Evan's studio is our bedroom. And this is my favorite room in the house. It is so serene. The blue is just right, in my opinion. It's got the perfect sort of undertone. It's got a little bit of vibrancy, but it's also, again, very soothing, very peaceful. When it's dark in here and it's just sort of lit by like our fixture and some, you know, lamps and pendants, it's just really glowy and moody. So I think it really sets the tone for unwinding after a long day. And what's funny is, you know, I knew that I had to have this color. Like this specific blue it's called Blue Daisy, from Benjamin Moore. And this was, again, like before I really knew a lot about interior design. I just kind of knew what I liked and knew what I didn't like, and had kind of a particular taste. But I really was drawn to this color, and I think that initially we had only put it on one wall just to kind of test it out. And throughout the years, I just started putting it on every wall. I painted the ceiling not too long ago. That's been a great addition. Really just making it feel like you're engulfed in this lovely, rich tone. And this room, I feel like, definitely steps away from like the mid-century of it all. It's way more like boho and a little bit more like there's some, you know, Asian influences, and obviously has a lot of art of lovely ladies, as you know, I'm obsessed with. And, you know, taking sort of some pieces that are vintage, also mixed with some more contemporary, is also kind of happening in here. It's definitely mostly vintage though. I really love this this piece. It's we actually found this on the street. Funny enough, we have a few pieces in here that are street finds. And you can ask any New Yorker, but I feel like it's pretty common to find really cool treasures on the street of New York. Well, I just wanted to mention that I'm obsessed with peacock feathers. This is kind of a new thing that I discovered. I love how tall they are. I love that like they just have this like feathered effect, and you know, this color is just like almost neon. It's so beautiful. The fact that this is like comes straight from nature is just like mind-blowing sometimes when I think about it. So yeah, I definitely try to put like peacock feathers around spaces as often as I can. And then just behind me, this is Mark Rothko. This is a piece that was just secondhand, but I really love the purple and the pink tones that are against the blue. I think it really, the combination is really, really pretty. And you'll notice that like I'm not very precious about like sticking to one metal or sticking to one wood tone. I really think it's important to like mix and match. I think that, you know, that's how a space really feels curated, collected. And when things are too matchy, I just find that it's, yeah, it can just sort of look like a showroom. So I'm definitely not afraid to do that, and you'll see that the mixing throughout this room specifically. So as I mentioned, borrowing some Asian influences, I found this gorgeous room divider, another street find. Actually, Evan found this, so this was one of his treasures. And I think that, you know, in a railroad home, it can be quite awkward when you're decorating this specific corner, because this is also an entrance and exit. So the door just behind it. We don't use that one, so it is usually, you know, locked up, but I think obviously you don't want to have like a chair or like a storage piece blocking this. So what do? Well, just get creative, find something that's easy to move. A lot of times we're just storing a lot of stuff under here, so this is like our hub for extra things. I had to really organize that to show you this lovely view. So I'm glad that I did it, because I'm quite proud of myself right now. Very decluttered. And then moving on, you know, I love this cabinet. This is something that I think this like mango wood with this really unique color and graining is so beautiful. We have this like cool sort of hammered brass that's just really pops against the wood. This was also a secondhand piece, and perfect for all of our blankets and things like that. And then if you'll look up, you'll see, well, I'm very proud of this bouquet. I just made this, and once again, see the feather details. And I love the purple, purple, blue, and green. Mwah. So good. Anyway, but if you can look past my fabulous bouquet, this is another piece that has some relationship to Evan's family, because this is actually of Evan's grandmother, the same woman that painted the piece of his mother. This is her posing, and this was done by an artist. His name is Millard. I don't know a lot about him, but I love this because I love this sort of like shadowing and her silhouette, and she's very stoic yet pleasant. So it's quite a neutral portrait. I think it's a good one to wake up to, and just be reminded of all the beautiful women that are in Evan's family. And I also love the carving details of this frame. This came with the piece. It's just so unique. I really have never seen anything quite like it. So a really special feature. I cannot leave out this pillar, side table, whatever you want to call it. This is so iconic. This is something that I also got in that same trip to Dobbin Street Co-op. And this is just this really like cool wood piece that has these intricate carvings. And it's very Grecian, Roman inspired. I really don't know the history of it, and I wish I did, because I find it so fascinating, that it's just like the detailing is so clear. But yeah, this was also a huge, exciting vintage find for me, because I think it just works so well in this space, and especially because it's like a white ivory color, it really stands out. So, but this is actually like mostly of men, and of course I had to balance out the genders by placing a naked woman on top of it. My Matisse, right? Sort of the callback to that wallpaper that you saw in my bedroom. So lots of motifs in this house, lots of little Easter eggs. And then moving on, this is my desk area. I don't really sit at this desk that much. It's definitely more used for storage, my nightstand, but you know, I think eventually I'm gonna probably upgrade and just put like a larger, taller cabinet here, because I have a lot of samples that come in and I work from home, so definitely need more storage here, but this is great for now. You know, I always like to put a little bit of a fuzzy pad on the chair. So the cats like that too, and it's very soft and adds a nice texture. And then, of course, you know, moving on to just the main focal point, which is the bed. It's very simple. I definitely didn't really want any kind of like big bed frame. I actually used to have a headboard here. And I always felt like there was something that wasn't quite right with the space. I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was just something about the bed and the headboard, and it felt very like clunky. And I realized that maybe what the issue was that like this bump out here, right? A lot of these old buildings have these. A lot of times they used to be fireplaces, or, you know, you don't know what's behind there. We never tried to look, but I don't want to ruin this wall because we get this stunning trim. But I realized that this bump out was sort of a natural headboard. So as soon as I took away the headboard, I was like, that's it. That was what I was doing wrong here. And it just means you have to have like a lot of extra pillows and things like that when you're sort of relaxing, but we're definitely not short of pillows in this house. And I think that, yeah, I think that it's like also a lovely way to showcase a piece of art, because you don't have like the headboard as the sort of focal point. This is another lady. Oh, She's definitely kind of a different lady. She's obviously naked, so it still has that like sensuality, but I also think that she's a little bit more solemn, maybe has gone through something. There's something sort of solemn in her pose, but yet it doesn't make me upset. It's just it's sort of something like, what is she thinking? What's the mystery? What's her secret? What did she go through? So I love that, and I found this when I was thrifting in Williamsburg. So this is one of my first pieces that I found. And this is a small thing, but I just love the way her eyeshadow, or maybe it's not makeup, maybe it's just what the artist chose to do to highlight her eyes. But I love that there's just a subtle little speck of blue just to bring it all together. Definitely like to keep the bedding simple. I think, the walls and the pieces are really the standout items of the home. So the bedding is just very neutral. This is like a tencel fabric, so it's almost like a very breathable, soft, silky texture. But I love this pillow. This is a handmade piece made in Brooklyn. Gotta support my Brooklyn artists. I love the colors here. You can see how nicely it goes with the walls. And again, this sort of floral motif, I think, is something I love to highlight. Just bringing in nature. And her name is, the company is called Lou Plush, Looplush. Lou Plush. They make these just really cool, like uniquely shaped pillows. So I'm happy to rock this right in the center. And this brings me to where my cat is so stunningly posed. This is, hi baby. Oh, I told you the cats love this room. She's being so cute. Look at her. She's a ham. She's kind of like upstaging me. Are you upstaging mommy? Are you upstaging mommy? You're so cute. This antique steamer trunk is from a Victorian era, so it's really cool to have a piece like that in this room. I also am obsessed with these details. This is like a floral, I think it's almost like, you can kind of tell, but it's like almost like a wallpaper. There's some kind of a vinyl. If you open it up, I'm not going to because she's looking so cute right now, but the same wallpaper is inside. So that was a really cool detail that I just was gravitating towards when I purchased it. And I feel like this is sort of like my grown-up dress-up box. I don't know if anyone else, when they were kids playing dress-up, they had like a big trunk that they put all their like tutus in and fancy outfits, but that's what's going on inside here. So if I were to open this, it'd be like an explosion of tulle. But anyway, I think trunks are a really chic way to bring in like storage that's sort of different from a cabinet or a wardrobe. This is a really cool mirror that I had somebody hand make for me. I actually found this artist on Etsy, which is such an amazing resource to find artisanal and like really custom pieces, whether it be mirrors, furniture. I use Etsy for like literally everything, bedding, window treatments, like you name it, vintage, the best vintage. But yeah, this is such a cool mirror. I think finding something to put in between two windows can always be a little bit of a challenge, and this just is the perfect size. And I think using organic shapes to really make the space feel soft and inviting is important. And I love that this is like what you see right when you walk in. And I think it's also just important to utilize mirrors as much as you can, especially in a railroad or in a place where, you want to make look bigger. I mean, it's obvious, right? You get like the reflection going, and it's also really cool to be able to see like different elements and vignettes of the room through the mirror. Like right now, what I'm looking at is like my bouquet and the art. So I think that mirrors are a really cool way to like tell the story of the space. Living in New York, there's so much chaos. You know, you step out of your front door and you have no idea what the day is gonna bring you. It can be loud, it can be smelly, it can be a perfect, beautiful fall day. You can meet new people, but like I said, it can be chaos. And so for me, home is that moment when you open the door after a long day, your feet hurt, your bag's heavy, and you just drop your stuff down. It smells the way you want it to smell. It looks the way you want it to look. It's like a big, warm hug, and you know, it's a place that you can just, I mean, I immediately put on my PJs when I get home and I plop on the couch. It's just my happy place. It's my, you know, my comfort. You know, seeing my husband, big hug when I get home. My kitties run up to me. You know, hopefully some food is being cooked. Some flowers are being styled, and you know, it's just the place where you can be yourself and be chill and relax.
Well, hello, Homeworthy. I am Christopher, also known as Plant Queen. Welcome to my home in Brooklyn.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Well, hello, Homeworthy. My name is Christopher Griffin, also known as Plant Queen on social media. I am a nature enthusiast with a little bit of a fashionable flair, all right? And we are currently in my little indoor jungle, or if you want to call it an oasis, in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. So I believe the apartment is about 800 square feet. And the structure is really interesting. I think in New York, we're used to a lot of railroad style apartment. And the beautiful thing about this space and why I was drawn to this space was because it has 5 south-facing windows. As a person with a lot of plants, or as I like to call them, green girls, I knew that having access to a lot of light was going to be really, really important. And so it was marketed as a 1.5 bedroom. And the 0.5 bedroom I've made into a nook. And the living room space, they kind of sectioned it off and divided it up in a very unique way. So it's a pretty large living room space, but because they, you know, created this separate little room, which was the 0.5, it creates like this nice little den. Then it creates a nice little workspace for me. I have my living room situated over here. The bathroom has a window in it, and so I get to bathe in my shower and bathe in the sunlight, which is absolutely amazing. We're basically houseplants with complex emotions, so honey, I need my sunshine. And then my bedroom has 2 windows in it, and so I don't know, it's hard to describe the layout of the space. I would call it unique, different, quirky, and I would also use those adjectives to describe myself. So I think we're a perfect match. All right, let's start the tour, darling. So here we are in a subsection of my living room. And so this is where I get a lot of my work done. She is a business queen as well, darling, all right? And I wanted the space to look interesting for the folks that I'm on calls with, video chatting. And so my interior designer and I, Calvin Rezick, we devised this playful ceiling wraparound situation with the wallpaper. The wallpaper is by Farrow & Ball. It was a collaboration with Christopher John Rogers, one of my favorite fashion designers, darling. Look him up, okay? Obviously, there's a lot of green in my apartment. And so we really wanted to play with this particular print pattern and color to just bring some new life into my workspace. I also have a bunch of my plants here, a few of my green girls, from the pothos to the money tree to the heartleaf philodendron. We have the Epiprenum pinnatum, which is related to the pothos plant that we all know. Also have the rubber plant or rubber tree right here. The scientific name is Ficus elastica, and that is because the sap from these particular plants way back in the day were used to make rubber. Fun little fact, I know, right? I also have some wall art over here. I picked up these two paintings when I was in Paris for a little birthday trip that I took myself on. I do a lot of solo traveling because why not, all right? And so these are some chrysanthemums, which were my mother and my grandmother really enjoyed those. We have the rose, which was my mother's favorite flower. And then this was thrifted from a shop in Brooklyn. And it just reminds me of my grandmother's house. There was always food. She interestingly had parakeets in her home. There's tea, there's plants. And it really just brought me back to a memory with my, being in my grandmother's house and it being so full of life and colorful that I simply had to have this painting. So this was thrifted as well from a little thrift shop in Brooklyn. This chair, found this with my interior designer, Calvin, on a website for a shop called Furnish Green. And so it's a secondhand store. And I think that bringing secondhand pieces or vintage pieces into your home is a wonderful way to decorate your home in a more sustainable way. It's another way to give life to an item. And I don't know, I think there's also just like energies that comes with, the furniture that we bring into our homes. I always do like a little a cleansing, but also cleansing in terms of energy. So like a little Palo Santo, a little sage, just to make sure that there's no bad energies coming into the home, darling. We can't have that. But yeah, I really love this because one of my favorite colors is yellow. And it had this fun like little cushion. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting chair, surprisingly very light. And I told Calvin when we were looking for chairs that I wanted something sturdy. And yeah, this chair is like really sturdy, it's really comfortable, it's wide, I can like fold my feet. I'm pretty small, so being able to fold my feet and my legs as I'm on calls is like amazing. But yeah, it gets like a little bamboo situation. But yeah, it's like one of my favorite pieces in my apartment and I use it a lot. This is where I spend a lot of time with my creative thoughts. And this is also the space that I take most of my meetings. So there you go. So, obviously I love florals, I obviously love the greenery, but she also loves a little flower power, darling. And so I did a fun partnership with Spoonflower and I took a 3-piece wall divider and I put wallpaper on the wall divider. And so now it serves as like this lovely little background. The wallpaper was called Botanical Garden. I mean, obviously it was a match made in heaven. And so, yeah, I did this little DIY moment and I think it showcases like the various different ways we can play with wallpaper. And this was just like a little fun creative project that I embarked upon. So there you go, darling. Then we go over to my little relaxation nook, all right? We have my little lounge couch. We have one of my favorite paintings that I also thrifted. And surprisingly, it's very light. So I was able to just kind of carry it home. I got a van and brought it home. But I really, really love abstract art because it allows you to, I don't know, kind of, every time I look at it, I notice something different, or maybe I'm in a particular emotional state and my mind will kind of just create imagery for me. So, and I really love the colors. Is it a sky? Is it the ocean? What is it? And so yeah, I really, really love this. I'm also a big fan of gold trimmings, and so I was obsessed with the frame. I mean, you can look, we love gold, darling. We love gold. Yeah, take a look. Fabulous. So yeah, we have that. And then we have a little shrine for my late mother. And she was the original flower queen. Like my mother loved, loved, loved flowers. And so I've started getting into the habit of whenever I receive like a really beautiful bouquet of flowers, I will dry them immediately as a way to kind of just like preserve the beauty. But I also have some flowers right here, some rainbow flowers that I dried. And these flowers were actually cut by my mother during World Pride in New York. And so she came to this was when I was in my other apartment. She came and she cut these flowers for me. And so now I will have them forever. And it's just like a wonderful opportunity for me to just dive into the memory of my mother. So yeah, this is my little relaxation nook, darling, lounging in style, you know? So my content revolves around a lot of things. It revolves around nature, fashion, lifestyle, and travel. So those are a big bulk of the content that I produce. My hope is that when folks see my content, they're either inspired or they're learning something new, or they see a possibility for themselves in how I exist unapologetically in my identity. And so some things that I do like a word of the day because I'm just a nerd and I really enjoy learning new words. I have a few fun little social media series. One is called Chrissy and the City. And that is a spinoff of, Sex and the City. And it's centered around fashion. And I believe that gender expression is a playground. And I really play with my fashion sense and very unapologetic and strutting the streets, darling, looking oh so fabulous. I also have a series that I go on field trips, educating folks around the amazing work that various nonprofits are doing. I've done one with the Billion Oyster Project. I've done one with City Harvest, which is a food rescue organization here in New York City. And I have one, the third season is focused on the International Fund for Animal Welfare, also known as IFAW. And so yeah, a lot of learning, a lot of education, a lot of plants, and I also do work with the Brooklyn Botanic Garden and the New York Botanic Garden. So that's a little snapshot of my content, but it's full of surprises. So be sure to give me a little follow. Now, I'm going to take you on a fun little lush, it's not a hidden secret, but my plant nook, darling, where a lot of my plants live, all right? I think this room has the second most amount of plants in my space. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Well, hello, darling. I see you beat me to my room. Okay. So this is my plant nook. And I believe there are about maybe like 70-ish plants here in this space. And so I really enjoy, this particular room because it allows me to kind of create like a little microclimate, which is really, really fun. I can close the door, put the humidifier on, and it becomes a little bit of a greenhouse, which is really, really fun. And this was the first space that I put plants in. So all the shelving on the walls, I did that. She can be a handy queen when she needs to be. I also have some wall art over here. This is a variety of few things from from some independent artists from Society 6. I painted this myself, and then also have some thrifted pieces as well. So this was, I like to collect things from sets. Let's see. I haven't played with this in a while, but yeah, this was a little plant Muppet that I had like my very first like commercial shoot as Plant Queen. And so it was very much like Sesame Street. And there was like this plant Muppet character. And so I was like, can I have it? And so it's like, it's cute because it's like, it goes in, whoop, it goes in, and then bam, looks like a flower. But yeah, so we have that. Right here, we have a collection of some of my favorite plant. It's nicknamed the White Ghost Cactus. As you can see, they have like a pale white color. These are actually not cacti, these are euphorbias, and euphorbias grow in shrubs. But when we propagate them and we grow them in our own way, they look like singular cacti, but they're not cacti, they're euphorbia. And so I don't know why I'm obsessed with them, but like I've had, they just do really well with me. And so, yeah, you have a little white ghost cactus situation happening there. Now, for all of my musical queens, you know who you are. I think you will appreciate that. So we have Audrey 2. From what? Little Shop of Horrors, Little Shop of Horrors, shop you pop. So one of my favorite musicals, obviously. And so I bought this for myself for Halloween one year. It's like a part of my costume. I was Seymour. And yeah, we had Audrey too. But yeah, cute. It's already in the little Maxwell house. Very accurate, very accurate. I got this from Etsy, y'all. Etsy. I know, Etsy be doing some good things. But yeah, child. Isn't it gorgeous? Ah! Feed Missy Mo. All right, there we go. I'll use this space to kind of ground and center myself. So I'll close the door, I'll put the humidifier on, I'll just meditate. Just sit on the floor. I used to do yoga in here when it wasn't so many plants, but now it's a little too crowded in here for that. But this is my, fun little space for a little escape, and it's really lovely. I really like it. So hopefully you enjoyed my little plant nook, and hopefully this inspires you to create your own little plant nook. I know you have space. You can bring plants into your home, okay? Trust me, I'm the plant queen. I don't believe in the green thumb. I don't think there's any innate skills that folks need to have in order to care for the nature that is in front of them. I think that's something that you work on over time. It's a skill you work on over time, like any other thing that you do in life. There was a king who really enjoyed these green peas. And so his subjects would pick these peas for him. And whoever had the most peas would be rewarded by the king. And so when they were, harvesting, these peas for the king, it left a green residue on their fingers. And so to have green fingers later to be, whittled down to green thumbs meant of good fortune. So it had nothing to do with taking care of plants. Another story that is told is that horticulturalists or botanists will, when they're dealing with planters, they may get green algae on their fingers. And so that just became associated with, having green hands, green fingers, green thumb, physically, right? With a sign of like, oh, you probably work in a garden. Again, it has nothing to do with actually taking care of a plant or your skills. And so I think it's a muscle. I don't really believe in the term of the green thumb. I think it needs to be demystified. And I do not think that anyone should shy away from the adventure of bringing nature into your home or engaging in gardening. Give it a try, have fun with it, lean into curiosity, learn from your mistakes, and really just embrace the adventure, the process. All right, so, I would describe my apartment as quirky, vibrant, colorful, and full of surprises. And so when I was working with Calvin on the wallpaper, I am a big fan of Wicked. I am a fan of The Wiz. If you don't know what The Wiz is, honey, look into The Wiz, all right? We got Michael Jackson, we got Diana Ross, look it up. I'm not gonna give too much away. And then obviously The Wizard of Oz, all right? And so we wanted to play with the color, right? Not only green, but from going to green to going to color, right? Going from black and white, going to color, just to play with that moment of bringing life when, you know, the film switches from black and white to colorful. So that's what the whole situation was here. And so very playful, very fun, very unexpected. And that's what we're here for, you know? Gotta have little surprises here and there, you know? This artwork inspires some of the work by Christopher John Rogers, and so that was why we chose this particular theme of artwork. It's also black and white, some nice touches of silver, and plays well with the wall here. So yeah, just like a little moment. I'll put my shoes on here sometimes, or if I'm like, oh, I just want to look at my space and admire, you know, I'm just like looking around, being like, yes, my home is beautiful. And it's mine. You know, sometimes you got to be grateful for the things you have in this life, baby. And it's called gratitude practice. You got to practice gratitude, all right? Be thankful for the things in your life. Appreciate them. Look at them so that you can envision the new things, okay? All right. So then we go to, I love all my rooms, so this is just another favorite room of mine. My bathroom, okay. So I think it's funny that, you know, there's so much color throughout my entire apartment, and then this is just like a very like white marble-esque tile situation happening. And the two beautiful things that I really love about this particular space is my 30-year-old Monstera Deliciosa. Yes, darling. She is semi-epiphytic, which means that she can grow on the surfaces of walls and trees. And she's actually just a very large vine. And y'all are lucky, she just grew a new leaf, darling. So yes, she bloomed just for y'all. All right. Then I have another fun plant right here, which is the staghorn fern. And I have a very complicated relationship with ferns because it's hard for me to keep them alive because they enjoy a lot of humidity. And with 5 south-facing windows, honey, it is hard to keep the humidity up in here, okay? And so this is a staghorn fern. She is epiphytic, which means that she does not need soil to grow. Traditionally out in the wild, these plants grow on tree trunks. They grow on walls. They grow on other plants. And so she's actually embedded in a coconut shell. And I've had this queen for about maybe 8 years now. She started as a very like small little fern in the coconut shell. And now she's kind of wrapped herself around the coconut shell. 30-year-old Monstera. I'm not going to tell you my age. Go to my social media and you can find it there, all right? But yes, this plant is almost as old as I am. And honey, we look damn good. Thank you, I know. Yes, how did I become plant queen? I really owe it to my grandmother, Andrew Griffin. She really served as the inspiration for who Plant Queen is today. And so my grandmother grew up in Clayton, Georgia in the mountains, and my great-grandmother had a farm. And so from a very early age, my grandmother and her family had a deep appreciation for the land that they were on. And so they raised their own animals, they grew their own food, had a lot of house plants inside, and just knew that there was a deep connection between them and the land that they were on and the nature that surrounded them. My grandmother eventually moved up to Philadelphia, where she brought that love for plants and gardening with her. She raised my mother and my uncle. She was very intentional about the spaces she created for herself to experience joy. So she was the author of her own joy, and she did that through gardening. And I think when I was brought into the world, she understood that folks wouldn't necessarily, or not everyone, unfortunately, in this world would appreciate the things that made me different, unique, quirky, And I was all those things. And so I think she took me under her wing to show that I didn't have to rely on anyone else for my own happiness. She obviously, you know, family and community was important, but I think she wanted to show me that I had agency over my own happiness and my own joy. So we would go plant shopping together. She would let me pick out the plants. We would take home whenever I was over her house. She would remind me to water them. And so at a very early age, I knew that plants, nature, the land that we're on is very sacred and very important. And so I bought my first plant. It was a Marble Queen pothos. I still have that plant. And I made a promise to myself that if this plant grew, that I would allow this to be like a nice little adventure for myself. And so the plant grew, honey. And that started an adventure of me traveling to all the different plant shops in Brooklyn and getting to know the owners and learning about the plants in a new way. I had graduated grad school. I had missed the classroom. So I was like, you know what? These plants can be my classroom. These are opportunities to really learn about the history and the meanings and the importance of the plant that we're bringing into our homes. And so, yeah, that kind of sparked the journey. And it's been a beautiful adventure. It's been a wonderful adventure. And so it feels wonderful to have curated a home for myself that really reflects the journey that I'm on. And yeah, there's no other place I'd rather be right now. And now, darling, we go to the room where I rest my head. And fun fact, this space has the most plants in my apartment. Let's go. Yes, darling, we are in the bedroom. Welcome. So this was the space where a lot of the reimagining for my apartment began. Did a collaboration with Farrow and Ball and Christopher John Rogers, and I was obsessed with this wallpaper. Yes, this is wallpaper, y'all. Wallpaper, okay? And I really, really enjoy water, bodies of water. Whenever I travel, I swim. I love the ocean. And so I was like, oh my God, let's make this room remind me of like an ocean sunset. So that's where a lot of the color inspiration comes from. We have, you know, yellows, we have blues, we have some greens. And fun fact, this was the second room that I really started focusing on when it came to adding plants to the space, because I knew that I wanted to wake up next to lushness. I mean, who doesn't want to be waking up next to lushness? All right, get some plants for your bedroom, darling. Get some plants for your bedroom. I'm not going to say it again. Okay. So, love the wallpaper. Obviously, you know, love the color yellow. So we have like a little mustard yellow situation. Literally the sunset on a pillow. This is the inspiration. Literally green, bam, blues, ow, yellow, hello. So as we, you know, continue to go on, I really wanted to play with, again, I love artwork. This is thrifted. Most of these art pieces are thrifted. And it's just something about abstract art that I just really love. I've seen so many different things in this painting, you know, based on the day or the lighting or the mood that I'm in. But I just love that process when it comes to abstract art. It allows the mind to reimagine and be playful and creative with what we're seeing. Then we have one of my favorite family photos, and this is of my mother and my father holding me during a parent-teachers conference when I was in elementary school. And it's just like one of my favorite photos. I've always felt very held by my family, and so I feel like this photo just like really represents that for me. So this is Andrell Griffin, my grandmother, the OG plant queen, all right? And yeah, this was taken, I mean, some time ago, but she looks absolutely gorgeous and fierce, darling. Come on now. And so, fun little story. So again, there were no shelves in this apartment. I did it all myself, honey. All right. I had all the tools. It was wonderful. It was comedic, but I got the job done. All right. Recast me in Home Improvement. I mean, come on now. All right. So whenever you're greening up your space, all right, it's a process, right? You should never just go into a store and just bring a plant into your home. You should put some thought into it. And so one of the most beautiful moments that I had in this apartment was the day after I got the keys. I came in, I ordered some pizza, and I cleaned the space. I cleansed the space, I cleaned the space, and I watched the sun move through the space. And I spent the entire day there just like really taking in this new space that I was about to make home. And I took note of all the places that the sun was hitting. And I was like, oh, well, this wall is getting a lot of light. And so I want to make sure that I green this wall up. So again, I love gold trimmings, all right? And I started putting the shelves in. So I put the top one up first. And then I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna put the second one in. And if you ever, try to put shelves in by yourself, it's not an easy task, all right? And so as I'm like trying to balance, it slides down and stays like this. And I'm like, oh, that is actually really cute. There is beauty in mistake. There is beauty in the unexpected, darling. And so, yeah, I anchored it in that way. And so it's funny, whenever I make content on this particular wall, I'll get a random comment. I'm like, honey, your shelf is sliding down, or it's about to fall. And I'm like, oh no, honey, it's engineered that way, okay? And so, yeah, I have a beautiful collection of a few different plants. So this is actually my very first plant right here, the Marble Queen Pothos. She's in a state of rehabilitation, all right? I kind of trimmed her down because she was just growing a little too wildly, and I really just wanted to preserve her. So I propagated her. She's placed throughout the entire apartment. But yeah, my very first plant, Marble Queen Pothos, and she's doing really lovely right now. She's doing really lovely. Again, we have more of the white ghost cactus. This is just another variety of the euphorbia. And I have a lot of succulents and cacti in the window. And also some Hoyas as well. We have the Ficus umbellata, all right, which is a cousin of the infamous Diva that is the fiddle leaf fig, all right. But yeah, I have, the plants are situated in a way where they are getting the light that they need. I know that succulents and cacti really enjoy a lot of light consistently throughout the day, so they are first. Then I have some other tropical plants that come second, and then the plants that are, I would say, low light tolerant or low light flexible, I have further back in the apartment. And so I really think about, okay, what is the natural habitat of this plant? What kind of light do they really enjoy? And I kind of situate them according to that. But it's a lot of trial and error. There are a lot of plants that I've sent to that little botanical garden in the sky, all right? I'm not going to tell you how many because it's not that kind of show, okay? But trial and error. I learn from my mistakes and I do better next time. So yes, my bedroom, darling, my bedroom. Then we have another little section of my bedroom, darling. This plant right here, Differembachia, she is one of the newer additions to the plant fam. And I got this from Little Shop of Soil in Bushwick. And I have a few amazing plants here. I have the Wellfin snake plant. And you can kind of guess why it's nicknamed the Wellfin, because it looks like a wellfin. I got this from Tula House, which is in Williamsburg. We have a Thai constellation, Monstera deliciosa. Honey, back in the day when folks were just buying up plants left and right, this plant probably could have went for a lot of money, okay? And the reason that variegated plants are often a little more expensive as compared to their non-variegated sisters is because the variegation is a mutation. These pale parts of their leaves actually lack chlorophyll, which means that that part of the plant is not going to process the sun. And so this sometimes makes the growing process for variegated plants a little slower. So they're a little harder to care for. You have to be mindful of the sunlight that you give them because their leaves will burn. Plants do experience sunburn, darling. Plants do experience sunburn. And so that's why she's a little further away from the window, because if I were to put her right in direct sun, she probably would burn to a crisp. But yeah, I bought this at the Union Square Market in the city, and she is doing absolutely fabulous. She's fairly new as well, just a few months in my house, and she's doing absolutely fabulous, darling. So yes, I have some pearls there because clutch the pearls, oh my God. We have another one of my Viney Green girls here, and she's just growing. I'm just letting her grow. Something that I do that I probably should stop is that I kind of just let the plants grow, like, and not try to like alter how they're growing, because we grow in various ways depending on the space that we're in. Honey, there's a lot of symbolism here that we can go back and forth. That can be for humans as well. We grow in accordance to our environment, or we grow in particular. Our pathways grow in different ways based on where we are in our lives. And so I'm very curious about how the plants will kind of just mold and grow in accordance to, the light that they're getting. And so, yeah, we have this little green girl here, and she's doing absolutely lovely. But yeah, this is my bedroom, honey. Most of my plants are situated here. And darling, she sleeps soundly at night. It's wonderful. It's quite great. And now we are, again, I like to decorate my home with memory. And so these are some amazing memories. I had the opportunity to go to Tanzania with National Geographic December of 2023. And me being a nature nerd, it was simply heaven. And so these were some pieces that I got from some local shops when we visited Arusha, the Serengeti, and the Ngorongoro crater. And so wanted to make sure that I brought that memory back with me. That was my first time in the motherland, which was also very special. And then I took myself to the Maldives, and that was a really important trip for me as a queer person. We have to be mindful about the spaces and places that we travel. And so I actually worked with an LGBTQ plus travel agency that was able to kind of just provide me with some guidelines and put me in connection to resorts that were inclusive for me, so I didn't have to like hide parts of my identity while I was traveling. And so yeah, bought a little fan and a little bracelet from the Maldives. Fun little fact, I am officially scuba diving certified. Yes, that's how much I love water. I go snorkeling, I go scuba diving, I love the ocean, yeah, a little fact about me. There you go. I think home is an energy. I think it's an energy that we carry with us, within ourselves, within the communities that, we exist within. My physical home has been like writing a love letter to my past, present, and future self. I am taking my time with it. When I step out into the world, existing as I exist, there are constantly waves crashing into my existence, trying to drown me, erase me, wash me away. And so for me, I've built this home so intentionally so that it is calm waters when I need rest, when I need to heal, when I need to engage in rejuvenation, so that I can go back out into the world stronger the next day. Home is a very complex thing. Home is an energy that we can carry with us, but home can also be a place that we can really allow ourselves to rest and heal.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.